Yesterday
Yeah,
something really worried me.
for the system inside.
Yeah, around 8:40, I
Hmm.
was watching the news,
Okay.
and then they were talking about over 1,000 people who had been evicted from their homes in the Gomwa East area. I don't know whether it was Kasua or somewhere. This was the second day of the story, and apparently there was a court order.
Hmm.
So these people had bought the land from some chief, and they had built houses. And then the thing had gone to court for a long time, and then the property developer had won. So I think he was working with the assembly to either regularize the people or to move them. But then just one dawn, they just went to start clearing the people and locking doors and things. And the DCE said that the method they were using to evict the people was wrong. And I'm thinking, over 1,000 families are being moved, and I don't see the urgency of dealing with the matter from a public policy perspective. This developer got so many police people to move the people. You should see the people. And I'm thinking, if this had been some affluent people in some affluent part of town that had gone to take somebody's property and there was a court order, is that how they will move them? You see? So I'm not saying that people should take somebody's property, but the way we treat poor people is not fair. Because, guy, if you are in cantonment in somebody's house and they want to move you, I'm sure they will be more courteous about it. Give you some time to go. Charlie, don't time. You see people with their plates and things scattered over the floor, and they were using police to do this thing. And the MCE said the people violated the people who were executing the order. They violated the agreed modus. And I think it's an important discussion. You should hear the people.
Okay.
That you have over 1,000 families just
Middle class family or
Sky.
just lower down.
when you look at the things in the house, you can
things.
some of them say they are single women looking after kids and things, and it's not even caused an uproar. There's been no, and it worries me. And this is the second straight day we did a story on it. So there was a story. In fact, Calvis has been following this story for quite a while. First time it was on Friday, where he reported live about what was happening. And then the MC was called and he didn't even know that this was about to happen. How can you go and do such a thing without the MC being told? Then yesterday, the MC held a press conference and said the guys who were executing the order were out of order because the order was valid, but the way they were executing it was completely out of order. And I've still not heard any comment from anywhere, and I think it's wrong. So I don't know. I think that we should be concerned about these things.
Yeah, these are.
There's a lot of things happening in our country where we assume that it's normal. It can't be normal in a civilized country to go and carry policemen to go and do such a thing in broad daylight. It's not right. Find a place for them or have a discussion. Don't just get up and scatter the people. They are human beings. They have rights. So honestly, I'm not happy about that at all. Maybe I'll go back to that story today. But let's do, and I'm not sure it will be in any proper headline. You won't even see it. It's not news. Only things people have said is news for us. Somebody has gone to say something.
Well, there is an Apollonia chief who is warning public against purchase of land from unauthorized persons. That's on the front page of the Chronicle. But the big story is actually talking about the next possible Chief Justice of the Republic. The Chronicle exclusive says Yoni Kulendi to be next Chief Justice. Gertrude Tokunu also in the race. Also here this morning, NLA to be 92 million Ghana cedi richer this year. Samia Uku says Nigeria, La Côte d'Ivoire to pay royalties after 25 years. And something here that says Baumia shown love by the Methodist Church.
Front page of the Anchor newspaper this morning. Two big stories. Wanted thug blows Axim police cover. But I've been following that story. Okay. And then it says school feeding caterers withdraw service. That one also came up yesterday. School caterers versus Ashanti Regional Minister. Notorious robber gunned down in Takwa. The NLA has been busy. Samia Uku wants to bring in more money. And the dentist says mouthwash cannot replace toothbrushing.
At all. It's just a compliment. You have to brush.
The resulting outcome is what? Apocalypse. Where you blow fuse.
Yeah.
Let me take you to the Ghanaian Times. Fair Wages and Salaries Commission starts nationwide payroll cleanup to get rid of ghost names, irregularities, and undeserving allowances, amongst others. The president must be emphatic on his LGBTQ plus stance. This is coming in from a Catholic Bishop, the Most Reverend Joseph Osei-Bonsu. And then also 5 political parties push for amendment of the 1992 Constitution.
I'll take you to the front page of the Daybreak newspaper. It says e-levy, where the jobs day, and comes with a photo of Karen Ofoyata, the finance minister. I'll give you details on that. Also worrying story, surgical suture shortage hits Tema General Hospital.
Okay.
And then Budumburam eviction attack on Gumua East District, and that's coming from Solomon Dakukwam,
That's
the
story.
DCE.
That's the story.
Yes.
That's the story. It's actually on TV now. Just look at it.
Oh, Charlie.
Look at it. Look. Possession taken by court.
Oh.
Charlie, over 1,000 families.
Wow.
They scattered the people. They should go. And they brought Ghana police, who will pay with our taxpayer money to do that work.
Well, I mean, if it's an order of a court.
But there's the order and the way. You should listen to the DC.
I think
Charlie,
have to
look
watch
at
it to actually.
Look at women standing there with their headgear. Charlie, how do you treat people like this? Hey, show me you, Ghana. You go on.
Let me take you to the finder. Big story says mining disaster looms at Brahabebome. Come here and beat me.
Brahabebome.
As Chinese Galamsey contractor leads Brahabebome youth into sealed off and disused mine shaft.
Yeah.
Also, we're told that NLA backs 290 million Ghana cedis in 222, according to Sami Oku. And ECG staff, vendors busted over alleged 2.1 million Ghana cedi theft and have been granted bail.
The ABC News goes with Samuel Uku as well. Also talk about ECG must give all customers prepaid meters now.
That's so.
And then a story that came out of your interview with Habib Idrisu.
Yes, that was
Nanton MP was stitched up in Parliament's washroom.
Yes, that was Habib.
Let me take you to the new crusading guide. Guta fights government over newly passed revenue bills. Also, we are told that Doma East MP to moderate discussions on green economy. And your dedicated service will always be remembered, according to the Judicial Service, which is directing this to COP Kofi Boache.
Okay.
And the front page of the Daily Graphic, addressing food insecurity, Agric needs a new model. This is coming from Professor Inzamujo. That's Professor Father Godfred Inzamujo. He's the founder of the Songhai Center in Benin. The president should also state his position on LGBTQ plus, according to the Most Reverend Joseph Osei-Bonsu, the Catholic Bishop of Konongo Mampong, and commit more resources to mental health delivery. This coming from Dr. Collins Ajiman to the government.
All right.
Finally, from me, the Economy Times says Ghana records $752 million in trade surplus. Also, banks resort to target lending, according to Fish, and BOG cuts dollar supply to BDCs for second quarter 2023.
Finally, from me as well, the front page of the Graphic Business, Bernard. New taxes kick in. Prepare for job cuts. Businesses warn. Comes with a photo of Joseph Obeng, Dr. Guta President, Dr. Humphrey Ayim Dake, President AGI, and Makabwaji, who's the CEO of the GNCCI. And also some advice on investing in times of economic crisis.
Let's give you some other headlines online quickly. CityNewsroom.com, AGI disappointed over passage of 3 new revenue bills. Also, Ghana Chamber of Commerce to petition the president over this, what they call counterproductive taxes. Then this one is coming in, MPP to hold presidential primaries on November 4 and parliamentary primaries in February. So presidential in November, parliamentary February next year. And then immigration officer shot dead, 2 others critically injured in Boko. And then Nanton MP says, my life was less important than the tax bills. He gave an interview to Omaru Sanda. Very shocking stuff to hear on the interview. Probably play some highlights at this. TUC is also unhappy with the new taxes. They are fearing more layoffs and tough times ahead. And there's a story here from the Internal Audit Agency that Education Ministry and public universities record the most payroll infractions. Yeah, so that's the problem there. City Business News is talking about a $20 million Atlantic shopping mall opening in Accra. And then Federation of Labour also complaining about the taxes. So a number of bodies have complained about the tax. Indeed, my Joy Online leaves with the same thing. AGI berates passage of 3 new revenue bills, lists litany of headwinds killing local industry. And then Harun Adrisu says parliamentary emergency must count for immunity. He was speaking in the relation to the Sabelugu MP matter. And then school feeding caterers in Ashanti region withdraw services of unpaid arrears. Godfred has been following the story because there apparently was an exchange of words. Indeed, the regional minister was berating the school feeding caterers for picketing and complaining that they are not being paid. I thought that was bizarre, but we'll bring you that story as well. So many interesting things happening. Let me take you globally quickly. So the big story, Trump expected to plead not guilty in New York court. Donald Trump is facing charges in his home state of New York City, or New York State if you want. And that's a story we're keeping an eye on all throughout the day. And then there's a drought in Catalonia.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah, this is northern Spain. Water levels are falling below 10%. So that's something else that is keeping people bothered this morning. All right, so let's start with some stories from here.
Okay. Bernard, there's this story about people who are taking money from the government when in fact they should not be taking those monies.
All right.
And the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission says it is going to look into the matter beginning today.
All right.
Cliff Ekofo, writing on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times, says the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has commenced a nationwide payroll monitoring exercise as part of measures to clean up government payroll and ensure equity. Now, the exercise, which is kick-starting with an internal audit by the Internal Audit Agency, will, among other things, seek to uncover salary irregularities, ghost names on the payroll, and undeserving allowances, among others. Now, addressing the media in Accra yesterday, the Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission said as part of their mandate, they did not only determine wages, but also had a response to monitor the payroll of the government.
I think the key story here, apart from what you said, is that IIA is saying that the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, and universities are the institutions that have the most payroll infractions, and they are collaborating with the IIA to do these audits
And you know what? Even emerged at the press conference that some people go to other people to collect their tax, their car and vehicle information, and then use those to now claim vehicle allowance. Do you understand? Car maintenance. Why are we like that?
Anyway, Sky, there are a lot of reactions to the taxes.
And I wanted to give you some other stories before I get to the taxes, if you don't mind. Let me take you to the Anchor newspaper.
Yes.
One, the wanted SAG blows Axim police cover story. I think that story requires a lot more attention because, than even just the police statements that we saw. The prime suspects in
you're talking about the video where people were...
Yes, that video.
Okay.
And the man, the one who's been declared wanted, managed to get himself an interview yesterday on air to narrate his side of the story before he's caught. Interesting times. The prime suspect in the infamous Axim Galamsey video, declared wanted by the police for attacking a police patrol team, has spoken from his hideout, making some shocking revelations, denying the armed robber tag and implicating the Axim Divisional Police and others. According to him, Kwame Atuasari, contrary to media reports, he's rather an informant of the police who have been using him to extort money from illegal mining sites, popularly known as Galamsey. He revealed he only fell out to the police after he collected a sum of 100,000 Ghana cedis from some illegal miners and cleverly refused to this time give it to the police. And in this interview where he opened up on his activities, Kwame said he has been an ally of the Axim Divisional Police, specifically in the Western region where illegal mining is endemic. He said he chose not to give the officers the money because in the past operations, the officers only gave him 2,000 Ghana cedis. He mentioned the Axim District Police Officer Safo and the District Police Crime Officer as officers he has worked for and handed 30,000 Ghana cedis to a few weeks ago after he collected the said money from Galamsey site. He said he told himself if he's giving over 30,000 to the police almost every week without getting anything more than just 2,000, which was even given to him once, then he will also keep the 100,000 Ghana cedis.
He's confirming an illicit relationship with the police.
Yes.
As far as mining is concerned.
On page 3 of the same paper, reports available to the Anchor indicate that the leader of a notorious gang that have allegedly been terrorizing illegal miners within the Takwai Shuai municipality has also been gunned down. His name is Ajinyami Sulemana, a.k.a. Sule.
So that story came yesterday, and the MP for the area was saying that they were happy that guy had been caught.
But we don't know who shot him.
That's the problem. We don't know whether it was like another group or whether it was a police. We don't know.
And finally, Bernard, from the Anchor newspaper, school feeding caterers withdraw service.
We'll come to that. I want Sky to deal with another mining story. Then I'll come to this school feeding story.
If you go to the Finder page 2, mining disaster looms at Brahabebome. And the story says some young people at, forgive me, Brahabebomi community in Takwa in the western region have endangered their lives by mining in sealed off and disused mine shaft, which has been closed for almost 60 years. Now, what is even worrying is that the young people are working for a Chinese galamsey contractor who has engaged their services for a fee at the peril of their lives. How are these people still in the country doing this? Now,
we are just talking. The government is just giving speeches.
Charlie, and this is a video of them. Charlie, there's a photograph of what they are doing. Now, the risk post can also increase with time as large abandoned tailings facilities, rock dams, shafts, and underground workings gradually deteriorate, and where no consideration is given to long-term maintenance and aftercare of the closed mine. We'll be here and a major disaster will happen there, and we'll now be appealing to the international community to help us to go and save these people.
So the ecological disaster we're seeing is purely because the government is not committed. They say a lot of things. They are allowing people to do galamsey, and they are not solving the problem, even though they know how to solve it. So this video from Axim and this story in the Finder together should tell you that we are just paying lip service to galamsey. Now, on education, school feeding caterers in Ashanti have redone their service of unpaid arrears. And that story is in the
Anchor newspaper as well, page 5.
Read it fast.
Caterers on the school feeding program in the Ashanti region have withdrawn their service of unpaid arrears. The decision comes a day before the opening of basic schools across the country. The caterers are expecting arrears for the third term in the previous academic year to be paid before they resume work. For instance, there's a quote. It says that our reason is simple. During COVID-19, we cooked, but government didn't make full payments. You have been complaining since, but to no avail. Currently, we've cooked for students for 3 terms, and they are still not paid full payment. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osei-Mensah, chastised and disregarded the caterers who besieged the Regional Coordinating Council and picketed. But the minister reportedly turned his back on the women because he did not like how the caterers responded to his plea for calm. The Regional Minister, who was unhappy with the chants of the caterers from the first floor of the office, reprimanded the caterers. Quote, if your child comes to you with chants in demand for a favor, will you be happy? You only brought a petition. Why don't you go ahead?
So the minister is using the child analogy for people who are owed by the state.
But you know Simon Osei-Mensah.
We shouldn't know him.
His
You
choice
should
of language.
talk to people in a proper way.
Simon Osei-Mensah has never spoken to anybody properly.
Women who have not been paid for 2 years, and they are picketing, which is their right, and you are telling them that if your child is coming, why I don't give birth to them?
But I'm saying for Simon Osei-Mensah, this is true to form.
But if it wasn't for politics, Anka, you see the problem.
But this is true to form for Osei-Mensah. You've heard the man on Eyewitness News several times. This is how he talks.
So now school is about to reopen. Look at these women. They are sitting on the floor. You haven't paid them. It's not as if they have done anything wrong. And instead of humbling yourself, you are now telling them that just say,
yes, I'll take you to the DC story after Skies.
Okay, there are 2 stories that are still
yes, the letter written by Bishop
that's right.
Bonsu, is that the name?
Yeah, that's right. So that is on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times, following from what happened during the visit of the U.S. Vice President. And then there's another story too in the Finder that says LGBTQ parents must be vigilant on what their children watch.
Okay.
Now let me take the first one from the Churchy man. Now the Catholic Church, the Catholic Bishop of Konongo Mampong, Most Reverend Joseph Osei-Bonsu, has called on the President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo to be emphatic on his stance on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer matters. Now, the President Akufo-Addo, in a press conference last month with the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, declined to state his position on the LGBTQ+, and rather said he was waiting for the decision of Parliament on the matter, while clarifying that there was currently no legislation in Ghana that criminalizes LGBTQ. President Akufo-Addo acknowledged that the bill had been proposed and was being reviewed by Parliament. Then he goes on to give you
I read the
background.
article. He was basically saying that the president was not being consistent, because when the president spoke at the Anglican Church a few months back, he was very clear that it was not be under him that they will legalize LGBTQ. But in other platforms like interviews with Al Jazeera, and then when the question was asked, his answer appears to emphasize a different thing. So the Bishop of the Catholic Church says, look, Mr. President, be very clear so we know where you stand on the matter. I think it's a fair call. Now, I just wanted you to deal with the second one.
Yeah, the second one on page 10 of the Final newspaper says parents have been advised to monitor what the kids read and watch to ensure they are not exposed to the activities of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. Now, it goes on to provide some other details. But the fact is that when you watch many of these cartoons and all of these TV things, series, and
that we are importing.
Oh man, every one of them, or almost every one of them, has a theme.
It's serious.
You know, character aligned the way.
Now, let me just give you a raft of headlines that I won't go into details, just to let you know the level of the story. So, citynewsroom.com. TUC fears more layoffs, tough times over 3 new taxes. Right? So that's the TUC. Then Ghana Federation of Labour fears job losses over 3 new taxes. That's also City Business News. If you go to myjoyonline.com, businesses likely to flee Ghana due to passage of 3 revenue measures, GNCCI. On the same website, AGI berates passage of 3 revenue bills, list litany of headwinds killing local industries. So I think that should say what it wants to say. I wanted to do quickly the Gomoa story.
Yes, I have it on page 3. If you have it, you
yes, so the city version is that eviction at Budumburam, an insurgency attack on Gomoa district. This is the DCE. The DCE for Gomoa is Solomon Dakukwam, has described last Thursday's eviction exercise where over 1,000 residents of Sun City, a suburb of Gomoa Budumburam, were kicked out of their homes by a litigant as an act of insurgency on the district. He lamented the refusal by the litigant to engage the assembly before embarking on the exercise. Over 1,000 residents, or households, you should say, of Sun City were on March 30 left stranded following their eviction by a litigant of a land dispute. The residents lamented they were given no adequate time to relocate the area, and the residents were evicted from their house by the litigant, identified as SNBB, under the supervision of a police task force. Now, I have a number of problems with this that I'll deal with when we come back. But suffice it to say that I am on the DCE side on this. Even if you are executing a court order, there's a way you are supposed to go about it, which according to the DCE, they did not.
Well, I mean, so then what happened to public interest lawyers? I don't know whether at some point they got interested.
Because this is not a terminal judgment at the this is not a terminal judgment at the Supreme Court, right? So even if the guy has won, to the extent that somebody can appeal, you know, there are some cases that get to a point where it has been finally determined. This is not an apex court decision. So the manner in which you're even executing it, I think, is prejudicial. And the DC was clear that they were agreed upon ways in which they were supposed to go about it, and they did not. And what is wrong is that the police
were part of.
Yeah, so it says, and they said the police should not allow themselves to be used as private debt collectors, because apparently some of the people were being asked to pay
to the, so
that they would be
chiefs.
The person who won the
development,
because they bought the land from the chiefs.
Okay.
You know, and there are land disputes everywhere, and I'm just saying that the police must in whatever they do make sure they are on the right side of the law. That's all we are saying.
Meanwhile, there's a story I saw about the IGP saying that they are no longer interested in settling out of court.
Yes, this was the Latif story. Yeah. It's on my Joy Online yesterday, and I don't know where it is gone now, but they basically said that even though the AG said he was interested in a settlement, the indication we're getting from the police administration was that they were not interested in that. I don't have the details here right now.
Yeah, I saw it a short while. Chief Dampari, I beg you, please settle that matter out of court. I mean, it's you are trying to create a new image for the police service, and if there's a way of settling this matter, please use that process.
Just a quick highlight from court as well. So yesterday there was the Sabelugo MP's case, and and guess
he must be a very popular MP.
The other thing we need to see, like the number of people who went to the court.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know whether they were masked up by politicians or whether the people felt that they had to go and represent their MP. But it's not healthy. All right? For I mean, if you're a judge sitting in this court, I mean, it was like a demonstration.
Yep.
You know, thousands of people masked up at the court. So it puts pressure on the judicial system. And we should not put that type of pressure on our judicial system, honestly. Tamale South MP Harun Edrisu has called for a case to be made on whether parliamentary emergencies cannot be a justification for a member of parliament to stay out of court. So we know the story, right? There was some sort of contempt issue because the guy was not able to get into court. But the MP is saying that he had to represent his people in parliament, which is why he stayed away from that particular court summon.
Okay.
So Harun is saying that we should use that as a test case to see whether in attending on parliamentary duty you can use that. And in fact, yesterday when we interviewed the MP for Nantong, which is not too far from Savelugu, the MP was saying that yes, he admits speeding, but that he was rushing to Parliament to perform a national duty. Indeed, that story again is on Citi.
And just
It's very interesting.
Yes.
Outside court yesterday, someone asked me the question, and I asked the person to consider whether, strictly speaking, we can invoke the defense of necessity in circumstances like that. But it is a very
so the MP admitted to speeding, and he also said that he had endangered his life and life of other people, but he was doing it in the supreme national interest.
The police should go and talk to
This was basically, in fact, we can hear the interview, but that's what he was saying.
The police should talk to him.
You see, so the police possibly can invoke reckless and inconsiderate driving, right? Because of the way he drove and how he endangered, other people road users.
And meanwhile, he admitted also that when he got into Parliament, he had a deep cut on his forehead, and he had to be stitched in the Parliament restroom.
Imagine if
and he was given injections there.
Yeah, I mean, there are serious issues.
Imagine if the tables were turned.
We have time to go into this. So that was the newspaper review with a lot of controversial issues. We'll be back with Citi Business News. Stay with us.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation Movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Fast approaching 7 o'clock. Citi Business News with Michael Ogbodo, brought to us by MTN. Have you ever wondered how to subscribe to a particular MTN service and how to view, add, or cancel your mobile subscription all from one place? Just dial *175# to access and manage all your subscriptions everywhere you go.
Oh, yeah, plus mine.
Citi Business News is next. All right. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Bernard. Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. Coming up, currency analyst projects Ghana cedi to appreciate to 9 cedis per dollar soon. Also, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry urges government to pay debt owed its members to save the ailing sector. Now to details of our stories. Now, currency analyst with GCB Capital Limited, Courage Bote, is projecting the local currency to appreciate to about 9 cedis to the dollar soon. This he attributes to the progress made by the government in negotiating its debt with its bilateral creditors. The cedi presently trading at about 11 cedis to the dollar after crossing the 16 Ghana cedi mark sometime last year. Mr. Bote has been speaking to Citi Business News on the trajectory of the local currency.
The hope is that it will keep correcting until it finds a level. I think a stable level now could be around the 9 or 10 cedi area, because when we saw that sharp correction post staff level agreement, it came back to something around 9 cedi. And so I'm tempted to say that is, if you like, the support level for the cedi maybe going forward. And so it could come close to those levels depending on the availability of liquidity on the markets and then the demand levels and how speculators play and all of that. But between now and then, I think those who have accumulated FX looking for a chance to sell, with the trend going on now, it triggers speculative selling which could improve liquidity on the market, and that is why this trend will continue probably until this IMF deal is approved finally.
That was currency analyst with GCB Capital Limited, Courage Boti. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry is demanding that government pays its members as soon as possible to salvage the ailing sector. The group has repeatedly expressed its frustration, stating that its members are accumulating substantial debts with banks and are at a risk of shutting down. Emmanuel Cherry is the CEO of the chamber, and he emphasized that promptly settling the amount owed its members would have a significant positive impact on the country's unemployment rate, given the sector's status as a major employer.
To be honest with you, if government could have been proactive a little to try as much as possible to pay critical attention to the construction industry, because the people we are training, without the jobs, where are we taking them to? As the ones who are already on the field, their counterpart male, workforce who are on the field, most of them are being laid off by the same companies and what have you, as a result of what? Non-payment. There's a lot of redundancy going on in the industry. So therefore, to be honest with you, government has a very instrumental role to play for the success of this particular project. Without that, it's going to be a challenge, because if the industry collapses, all the training we are giving to these people, electricians, where are they going to? Electrical engineers, where are they going to? Welding fabricators, where are they going to? Auto mechanics and what have you, where are they going to? All these things come back to the same industry. So we are pleading to government, using this particular opportunity, for them to take a real look at the construction industry, then challenge the canker that is eating the fiber of the industry is about the non-payment. So government should try as much as possible to pay contractors, and contractors themselves will contribute by means of what? Employing. The more they employ, the more we train, so that we at least take on employment from the streets.
That was CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry. He spoke to the media on the sidelines of a graduation of some 200 females as part of a project dubbed Innovation in Non-Traditional Vocational Education and Skills Training, funded by the Government of Canada through Global Affairs Canada and in partnership with the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Away from that, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, is urging government to stock up the country's petroleum reserves to cushion Ghanaian consumers as prices of the commodity goes up on the international market. Although there has been a decline in the prices of the product, there is predictions prices will soar again in the next pricing window as global crude prices have begun to soar. This follows announcement of a cut in supply by OPEC, which has seen a spike in prices to over $80 a barrel. Speaking to Citi Business News, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, stressed the need to increase the country's reserves to absorb the shocks.
We would have expected or wished it went down further, particularly when you take the big three OMCs and the levels that they are charging currently. It would have been our expectation that the prices will be a bit more lower than it currently is. That notwithstanding, it is appreciated that we've seen sustained reduction in pump prices over the past few months. We are quite hopeful that the public will be a bit relieved with these reductions. Prices are expected to go up by the second window in April. It will be our expectation that the managers of the economy would work on the local currency and also ensure where we need to store products, we store some now, because the indications we are getting from the global market space is that we are likely to pay more for petroleum products come the middle of month April.
That was the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa. Now, local vaccine production has received a major boost following the signing of a €5 million investment grant between the European Investment Bank, the lending arm of the European Union, and DEC Vaccines Limited. The grant will serve as seed fund for the development of a vaccine manufacturing unit, while also paving way for the local manufacturing of vaccines against diseases such as COVID-19, malaria, among others. Ambassador of the European Union to Ghana, His Excellency Echad Razali, at the signing ceremony said the EU remains committed to supporting Ghana become the vaccine manufacturing hub of Africa.
The agreement we are celebrating today also paves the way for ensuring that essential vaccines against diseases like malaria, COVID, human papillomavirus, pneumonia, rotavirus, and cholera could be manufactured locally as well and become accessible to every child born in Ghana and beyond Ghana in the world continent, because this is what we are speaking about, making Ghana and a few handful of countries a key partners, a key provider of vaccines for the rest of the continent. Basically, Africa is importing 90% plus of its vaccine. It's consuming 95% plus of vaccine produced elsewhere, and we agree this is not sustainable.
Head Ambassador of the European Union to Ghana, His Excellency Eckhard Razali. Now, meanwhile, Managing Director of DEC Vaccines Limited, Dr. Kofi Nsiah-Poku, in an interview with Citi Business News, said Ghana will, by end of 2024, begin local production of vaccines.
We have just started the building, which is on the Accra-Nsawam Road off the Kotoku. We are about 1 kilometer from the Vortic factory. So construction has started. The official groundbreaking of the facility will be on the 18th of April, where the president will come and unveil it. If all things go well and we get all the funds that we need, we hope to finish the factory by the end of 2024. Then within 6 months, produce the first vaccine. So what I will say is that the first vaccine, which will be the malaria vaccine, will come out from the factory around middle of June 2025. But the factory and trials will begin at the end of December 2024.
That was Managing Director of DEC Vaccines Limited, Dr. Kofi Nsiah-Poku. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar remained unchanged and is selling at 11 cedis 2 pesos. The British pound is selling at 13 cedis 6 pesos. It recorded no price change. The euro is selling at 12 cedis. It also recorded no price change. However, at some forex bureaus in the capital, the dollar is selling for 12 cedis 15 pesos, while the British pound is selling at 14 cedis 85 pesos and the euro at 12 cedis 88 pesos. Let's now join Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank for updates on the bonds market.
Last week, the Treasury accepted 1.6 billion Ghana cedis out of its worth 1.62 billion Ghana cedis, exceeding the auction target by 19.53%. At the close of the auction, the 91-day yield gained 51 basis points to 19.39%, while the 182-day yield added 42 basis points to 21.86%. On the flip side, participants in the secondary bond market traded a total face value worth 62.31 million Ghana cedis, representing 38% week-on-week decline in weekly turnover. Bond prices traded averagely lower, causing the Data Bank Bond Index to lose 1.26 points week-on-week to 97.75 points, advancing the weighted yield to maturity by 24 basis points to 9.55%.
That was Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank. And that does it for the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil, empowered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. Have a good business day. And as always, please stay safe.
I nearly gave up on driving out of frustration. What hadn't I done? Purging, replacing electrical parts, changing my fuel pump, and still, the engine noise in my car won't stop. Then I met this guy who said I should try Goil Fuel. By the way, my name is Thomas. I did try Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now my car is renewed. Yankonkwa!
Goil stocks only higher grade fuels, further enriched with XP3 multifunctional enhancer. More efficient, eco-friendly, and at no extra cost. Available at every Goil station. Ajibebia. Goil Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP. Higher grade fuels. Excellent for modern engines and all vehicles. Goil. Good energy. Yeah.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That's happy moments listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
When I break your heart, baby, son neighbor, in there, son neighbor. Me I play you over again. Odo me diwa bro, me I will pass me I mess up. Mommy, take that me up. Me and that
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise. This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Now I know how it feels, my baby, how it feels. Yeah, me cheat to my day wrong. How it feels. Yeah, my baby, how it feels. My baby, how it feels. I know that I did you wrong, no lie. Baby, please forgive. Yeah. I know
30 minutes past 7, City Business News there with Michael Ogbodu. Coming up next is Kickoff, brought to you by Shell Fuel Super Save and Shell Fuel Save Diesel and Shell V-Power as well. The triple action formula improves engine efficiency, prevents deposit build-up, and protects your engine from wear and corrosion for extra clean, extra protection, and extra savings. Switch to Shell Fuel Save today because extra kilometers go a long way. And Shell Savings and Loans has been supporting the investment goals of customers with attractive solutions, with easy access to track your funds. We offer flexible deposit products for 91 days, 182 days, and 365 days. Open a fixed deposit account with us or call 0577 707 700. Shell Savings and Loans, a trusted safe haven for your investments. All right, so Benjamin is here with the news. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Bernard. Let's get into the headlines. And BBNE Gold Stars, they were winners against Legon Cities in the Ghana Premier League midweek action. And then there was also Everton versus Tottenham ending in a draw. Today, there's Chelsea versus Liverpool. And in boxing, Joseph Agbeko has advised Isaac Dogbe not to change weight class. Let's start off with the Ghana Premier League. BBNE Gold Stars, they were involved in midweek action in the Ghana Premier League with Legon Cities. BBNE Gold Stars winning by 3-2 in that particular game. Let's get some reaction from the managers. Let's get to the camp of BBNE Gold Stars. Michael Osei, his head coach, he was happy with his team's victory.
It was a very dicey game, very difficult. Looking at the position, the opponent you can see they are frustrated, so they came all out. But we started the game very, very well, and then we got the early goal, and then later on I think we slept a little, and then they were equalized and then get another goal. But we came back into the game again, and then we scored another 2 goals. But later in the second half, I think we were a little bit looking like strugglish and so on, but we were able to manage to get the 3 points.
So you heard Michael Osei, who is head coach of the BBNE Gold Stars. Let's also hear from Legon City's head coach, Maxwell Konedu.
I think it was a keenly contested game. Both teams did their best. They had their chances and they took them. We also took some chances. But to sum it up, I'm saying it's a good team. They've been playing well at home. We came and we did our best, but it wasn't just enough to carry the day.
So you heard Legon City's head coach Maxwell Konedu speaking there. Let's get to some national team-related stuff. An assistant coach of the Black Meteors, Godwin Atram, has identified the host nation Morocco and Egypt as the biggest threats to winning the upcoming Under-23 AFCON. Now, Ghana is one of 8 African teams that will be vying to secure a slot at the Paris Olympics men's football competition when the AFCON commences this June. Now, speaking to City Sports, Atram noted that the Black Meteors' successful conquest of Algeria in the qualifiers has furnished them with a clear comprehension of the playing style of North African opposition.
I think that the top oppositions are Egypt and Morocco. Well, Morocco is the host, Egypt are the defending champions. I'm sure that the pairing will be, one will be in the A and one will be in the B. If you want to be the best, you always have to mingle up with the best. I don't think we are panicking of playing against those two. Playing against Algeria has already given us the main idea and the concept how to play against those northern area. The technical team, the head coach Ibrahim Tanko, also my colleague, assistant Michael Osei, has really been very united. We have a very strong capacity, which we are bringing it on board for the players to have a lot of training and impact. All those who are having problems, we are trying to fix those problems so that when you get to the main tournament, we'll be able to sail through.
Now, Godwin Atram further revealed that the Black Meteors technical team has plans of beefing up the squad and also engaging in a number of high-profile friendlies before the start of the Under-23 AFCON.
A meeting with our executive members who are on board. We have been able to assemble our reports to them. Head coach Ibrahim Tanko has been doing that. And then also he asked us to, if we have some recommendation that we can give it to the FA so that they can work on it for us. I think that we must have some friendly matches, international friendly, not only in the domestic ones, the domain. We must have some international friendlies, very, very important, even if it's possible to play against some of the northern side. Well, we know that they carry the weight when it comes to these tournaments. And if you are able to grip them very well and play against them in friendly matches, you'll be able to have a lot of adaptation. The players will have an exposure. They will have a lot of idea also to play against them when it comes to the tournament. The tournament is just around the corner. It's 2 months to go. So it's going to be a very interesting tournament. Very, very tough tournament. But with hard work and believe in what you are doing, if you know your goal, your focus, and you believe in what you are doing, I'm sure you will stay true and qualify to the tournament.
So you heard Black Meteors assistant coach Godwin Atram speaking there. Let's now move on to some foreign stuff and let's catch up with last night's action in the English Premier League. Everton versus Tottenham Hotspur was a very exciting encounter. There were 2 red cards handed out in that game. Abdoulaye Doucouré for Everton sent off and Lucas Moura also sent off for Tottenham Hotspur, and the 2 teams split the points when it was all said and done. Now today, AFC Bournemouth, they will be up against Brighton and Hove Albion. There's Leeds United taking on Nottingham Forest. Leicester will take on Aston Villa. There's Chelsea versus Liverpool, which is the big game. We'll bring you live commentary of that one right here at 7 p.m. And then also let's get some reaction. Our interim Chelsea manager Bruno Salta is hoping for a response from his players after the sacking of Graham Potter.
First of all, it's a sad day. It's a sad day for the staff because Graham and Billy, they live in 2 top coaches, top people, top human beings, and how I see it is I have to be the most professional I can, try to help the players, guide the players towards preparing the game the best we can.
Now, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp insists his team needs to bounce back from their humbling against Manchester City.
Badly as it's possible, we need. Yeah, definitely. So, again, super strange game. Okay, first half, awful second half. We said it. It's unacceptable, but happened anyway. And now we have to make sure we are ready. We cannot work really on the pitch. That's it. But games like this have an impact. Double, we might lose even more confidence, but the desire to show reaction is there as well. So the boys are still good people, and they want to show reaction 100%.
So you heard Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp speaking there. Big game on our hands, Chelsea, Liverpool, both teams struggling this season. So this should be an interesting one. That's all for this morning's edition of Kickoff. My name is Benjamin Nketia. There's more sports at citysportsonline.com.
I believe I'm saying, hey, hey, hey!
$7:31. And if you are listening whilst driving, keep your eyes on the road. Rains in Ghana are the ultimate test of everything. Ultimate test of the quality of roads. Ultimate test of our water. Because there's no rain, there's no water to drink. Rain's the ultimate test of power stability. The electric poles come tumbling down. Ultimate test of the quality of TV. DSTV, when it rains, you don't get it. The ultimate test of many things. It's also the ultimate test of driving. Because a lot of times, visibility becomes poor. Even in the day when it rains, street lights don't work in many parts of the country. You may also hit some crazy potholes when it rains. Especially rains which are windy. So this is my advice.
I believe I'm saying, hey, hey, hey!
Get into a big car park like the Akramo. Just park and wait. You don't need to force yourself. If you haven't left home, just wait. All right, that meeting can wait. Your life is more important. So a weather system from the east causing a lot of rain this morning in the southern part of the country. And this morning, I think Jimmy sent the weather thing. He sends it every day. So yesterday, in fact, at 5, almost 6 p.m., it was predicted that there was going to be thunderstorms and rain from around 8 p.m. So this is the possibility of rain from yesterday that has come into today.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
But if you're cruising on your way to work or traveling out of the capital or from your region to another region, enjoy the song.
Go ahead, man.
All right, so this morning we're going to do the show in a very interesting way. We have 3 case studies that we will be presenting to you. And those case studies would invite comments, hopefully, in the next 2 hours. The first case study is the MP for Nantong, who risked his life to get into parliament to ensure that a vote was taken in favor of 3 taxes. He not only risked his life, he risked the life of somebody else. We'll deal with that first case study. There's also a very bizarre one where a video has shown police and private security people, or Galamsey security people, engaging in a very suspicious conversation, which exposes the police to a lot of ridicule. And that really goes back to the question of the fight against mine. And for me, it's become one of the most disgraceful things about this government, that they've not mastered the political courage to deal Galamsey the blow they have to deal with it. So the finest front page is talking about Chinese involvement in Galamsey at Brahabebomi, and then the video shows police people in a conversation with some people, and the guy then gave an interview saying, well, when he goes to do the work and brings the money to the police, they don't give him some, or they give him only small. So under what arrangement is he sending money to the police? That's the question we have to answer. And then the third one is the one which really, really worried me. Over 1,000 people at Gomwa Budumbura evicted after a court order. Their things thrown out of their homes. And this eviction was done with the help of the police without the DCE or the Assembly's involvement.
Oh, you stand tall. Go ahead, Mr. Window.
Now, this is not right.
Mr. Window, yeah.
But if you've been prevented from going out of your house because of the rain, you can stand in front of the mirror and dance. So, not a problem. Just dance, right? Ghana will not end because you dance for 30 minutes. So just have fun, enjoy. So this is Mr. Wendell. I will request a few happy birthday greetings to Agnes Ami Agbenu of Ghana Port and Harbors Authority Finance Department and the entire family. And Sam Korte wishing you joy, happiness, and bliss on this wonderful day. From Kofi Tremating, aka Kofigo. Happy birthday to Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe Senior. Oh my God. What a man. That was his brother. That was his son. That was a Gabo.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the man.
Oh wow. All this.
Now the Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe Senior.
Yeah, but you've forgotten the Reverend.
Oh my God. You know, they say a jack of all trades, master of all.
So he's Right Honorable Reverend?
He's a big man.
AKA Unbelievable.
No, it's not his name. I dissociate myself from that name. He's one of our most prestigious authorities that Ghana has produced.
Yes, I agree.
He excelled in his academia as a professor of political science.
Yes.
Excelled in the priesthood.
Yes.
As a highly elevated, very reverend.
Thank you.
You know, and he excelled in the Parliament of Ghana. I think 2 terms.
Yes,
MP for W. Kabenya. Rose to the high office of the Speaker of Ghana's Parliament.
That's true.
You know, I mean, a big man's big man.
Yes.
I mean,
a diplomat
and
a minister of
Ghana's High Commissioner to India.
I agree with
Minister for Energy.
Yes.
Charlie's a big man.
Yeah, but when he came here,
he said he was doing that time. He was running for president.
Yeah, he didn't excel at that one.
No, he brought Gate. What the book on Nika. So one of his so I was here with Frechidi and he was saying that look, his message is simple. You empower people. That one of the deals he got with the Indians was to help them get like tools to work.
Yes.
So he will give them Nika and then they will do Ori Abelema movements.
That was the beginning of it.
No, it's a big man. No, but you know he recently lost his wife.
Yeah, so we sympathize.
And but you know, look, you may not always agree with his politics, but Michael Kwe has done his bit. He's done everything.
I think Parliament will remember him for the reform he brought on the matter of private members' bails, which it would seem serving our republic very well now.
Wonderful.
He's also finalized the creation of a legal office, properly so-called, within Parliament. And so therefore...
So in the annals of Ghana's parliamentary history,
those 2 major things.
Professor Michael Kwe will be remembered for introducing the private members' bill. I remember there was a consultation on this. He invited Kwesi Prempeh and all those guys.
Yeah.
All of us were there, and he was busy. And Bagbin. Yeah. In fact, I remember that Bagbin had lost his voice. I remember that day clearly. So that day, Kwesi Prempeh and Co came to presentations, and then Bagbin had chaired some committee. He said he was tired, and then he brought him. Charlie, when he started talking about this private members' bill, oh my God. So he built consensus around it. And this is what we want, where somebody uses his position to bring people together, to bring reform in a way that helps all of us, right? So we don't agree with everything Okwe has done, but on that point, Charlie, Beju too. So happy birthday to Professor Michael Kwe, also from the Odadia family.
I always used to call him Professor.
All right, a few more coming in. Happy birthday to our dear friend Zahra Suleimana, Office of the Managing Director, ADB. We wish you many more years of endless blessing and fulfilled dreams. Cheers to you for another journey around the sun from all of us at ADB. And also wishing our sister and friend Zahra Suleimana a happy birthday. So this is coming from a different person, from Muhammad Ali.
Okay. All right, this one says, kindly wish my daughter Jewel Makela Mateki Mate a happy 5th birthday. That's from her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Akita Mate.
And then one that just came in from my friend Zilix Dwayne to Andrew Selassie Ataja, aka T Square. Andrew Selassie Ataja. aka T Square. You do all. Happy birthday to Mfafia Jenu, an avid listener of the Citi Breakfast Show. Have a fantastic day.
All right, this one is a message to Divine Ado. Today's Divine Ado's birthday, so happy birthday to you, Divine Ado.
All right. And belated happy birthday to Helen Grace. Helen Grace, Citi FM, Citi TV production. Yeah. AK Gbomosompio. Alpha Delta, Laboni, Ring Road Central, and Kolebu branches will be working throughout the Easter season. Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Easter Monday, and all holidays. Our drive-through service will also be operating 24 hours on these days. Our Laboni branch will maintain the usual 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So we're talking Alpha Delta Pharmacy. So whether you're in Laboni, you are at the Ring Road or Kolebu area, 24/7. And in this era of haircuts, investments, be smart with your cash and invest in a venture that guarantees full returns. With just 2 deep freezers, a block structure, and a store, and 10,000 cedis, you can become a farm milk agent today. Farm Milk is empowering Ghanaians to be entrepreneurial. This is your opportunity to become your own boss. So with as little as 10,000 cedis, Farm Milk will support you with sales equipment you will need to set up your own ice cream shop. Call Farm Milk now on 030-7000-595 and we'll set you up. Wouldn't it be nice if a bank said, okay, I'm going to give a special Farm Milk loan for this? Or imagine people who want to work, give them 8,000 cedis, let them add the 2,000 as counterpart funding, let them show some history of serious work, set up ice cream vending. It's a job. Yeah, Charlie's a job.
Oh, yeah.
It's better than sending that person 200 cedis every month. If that person gets that job, Charlie, they won't ask you for money every week. So we'll go and talk to Farm Milk about this. Call them on 0307-000-595. I think it's a very interesting way of setting people up.
Yeah.
And it was right after his studies in recycle management that Paul Kofi accepted the challenge of building houses with plastic waste. So not only does he help in recycling waste to save the environment, Paul provides jobs for many Ghanaians. At APSA, that's what we call Africanacity, the distinct ability of the Ghanaian to get things done. Africanacity is our inspiration. It defines who we are and what we do. It's our commitment to helping people find a way to get things done. So this is my advice. Call APSA. Tell them you're looking for Grace Enimbiebo. She's the one in charge of business banking. And when you call, tell her, Bernard Avle on Citi said, if you want a proper loan, you can't talk to her. She will, even if she doesn't give you the loan, she will advise you what you should do. So when you go, say you're looking for Amazing Grace. That's her name. Yeah, she sits at business banking. She's a big woman.
It's a big woman.
Yeah, and nothing passes that bank without passing through her.
She's the major.
No, she's the director of business banking.
Powerful.
And so call APSA and say, Charlie Grace, Aloski say I should come and see you. No, I'm serious. They will give, if for nothing at all, they will do some training. They will do some SME training for you. Even if you don't get the money, you get the training.
They should use Aloski as a code name. Eh?
Oh, yeah. Grace Enimbiebo. It's a big woman.
Code Aloski.
If they don't give you money, they'll give you training.
And then they'll give you at least some tea to drink.
Sunday yes, I mean, we're getting some guy to come and work on our website. And I think the guy is a Togolese. So he will set up the thing. Somebody say, so when you set the thing up, how will we do it when you are not there and go back to Togo? He said, but we'll do training. So we'll do training. He said he would train us to do the thing when he's in Togo. He didn't get the job. How can you set up a system that you have to do training?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You have to be trained.
That's how I ended up with Samuel Apia Dankwa. Because the Togolese guy said you do training. Samuel said this training here. Masa. Oh, good morning, Nehemiah Tiga. You've also done some for us. He used to be the guy doing the website. It's not easy.
I tell you.
Training.
Yeah.
Training.
Anyway, Get ready to elevate your driving experience with a vehicle from Toyota Ghana. Now, for a limited time only, Toyota Ghana is offering a super bundle offer on the following vehicles: a 1.4 liter Starlet, 1.8 liter Corolla Cross Adventure, and a 1.5 liter Rush. Now, if you get any of these vehicles, you are getting, in addition, an irresistible price discount, 1 year free comprehensive vehicle insurance cover, 1 year free home insurance cover, 1 year free service, and free starter fuel. You can visit any of Toyota Ghana showrooms in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Tamale, Takwa, and Takrade on 0302 910 204. Toyota, superior quality. Now, what if I told you that, first things first, what if I told you that the number 1 always comes before 2?
That's true.
And the letter A always comes before B.
It's also
and
true.
that B always comes way before the letter N.
Definitely.
What if I told you that at FBN Bank, our goal is to put you, our cherished customer, first?
I like that.
Our products and services have been designed just for you. So get in touch with FBN Bank. FBN Bank, think FBN Bank, you first.
Yeah.
And Easter is approaching. So from Good Friday to Easter Monday, Rock City Hotel
will be rocking the city.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah,
they're giving you the best Easter ever in Kwewu. Your day starts with an amazing buffet breakfast at 7 a.m., lunch at 12 p.m., dinner at 6 p.m.
Yes, please.
At a cool 165 cedis for adults and 100 cedis for children under 12. So get in touch with the people at Rock City and get some great all-round entertainment on Good Friday with DJ Mono at the Rock City nightclub.
Yeah.
On Saturday, Abrantie Amachi Dede will be there to give you high life. And on Sundays, Ladies Night with Kwabna. And the DJ Castro will be spinning all the latest hits. Enjoy Easter in Kwewu at Rock City Hotel, your ultimate destination, and come back with memories.
All right, so first thing we'll be doing this morning, you'll be hearing from the MP for Nanton, Honorable Mohammed Hadi Tuferu, who spoke to Marusanda Amadou on Eyewitness News, narrating what happened to him. Before that, though, happy birthday to Mrs. Sedem Ajo Daku, from your husband Fred and the kids Nana Sika and Kweku Kranting. And condolences to the family of lawyer Nicholas Nomeshi, who lost your mother, who's also your mom-in-law, I should say, your mom-in-law, Iva Ama Buedua. You lost your mom-in-law, Iva Ama Buedua, who's a wife of former MP for Ketu North, Honorable Modesu Sahin-Able. So this is to Nicholas Nomeshi and the family. All right, so let's start in Parliament. Yesterday, we interviewed a gentleman who said his car was knocked and hit by the MP whilst the MP was rushing to Parliament to vote for the 3 tax bills. He said he was hit around 9 p.m. Based on all that we heard from this gentleman and based on all we know happened in Parliament from Sky, Umaru Sanda called up the MP who had found himself in Tamale. So apparently he had left the Accra to Tamale because there were concerns about his health. And he had to show himself to the people that, hey, I'm still here. I'm not dead. So Mohammed Tuferi spoke to Umaru Sanda Amadou.
Friday, I got to Parliament 6:30, take a rest up to 8:30, and left Parliament for Minister of Agriculture. Then we did the meeting up to 4 o'clock. So I came to Parliament at 4. Then we were in the chamber. We were doing our normal work. Then suspension. We come back, suspension up to 6, 7 o'clock. And then 7:15. Actually, along the line, the whole, in the scheme of things, my wife was at the hospital with my small girl at the International Maritime Hospital. So we were communicating and things were going fine. Until later part when she told me the drips were not going well, then but it was all good and they removed the system, waiting for some time to reconnect. So we were communicating up to like 7:15 when her phone went off. I was calling, trying to reach her. I couldn't get her on phone. But then we were also on suspension in Parliament. So I did some calculation to use some 45 minutes to go and come back and then continue with parliamentary process. So upon reaching the hospital, then call started coming that minority had raised the issue of they had challenged the voice vote, and that we needed to take the second option, which was head count, and I was needed in the chamber. And I started driving back to Parliament. That was around 9. It was past 9. It was past 9. So I was on. Then I was almost in Parliament around from the CID headquarters, driving to that was a Institute of Journalism. Then this other car was also coming from that direction. Then there's a access route to join the main route. It was at that point that we didn't all see. He didn't see me coming. I didn't see him coming because I was always looking at Parliament and the course and the pressure to come and be counted. And then the contact occurred at that particular point.
I see. Were you alone in your car?
Yes, I was alone. I was the one driving.
And so you must have been speeding because you were called to come to the house.
Top of, you can describe it how you want to do it.
I can describe. You're on top speed.
Yes.
Which is a bit, against the motor traffic rules to be driving at that speed at that enclave at that time. So you agree with that one?
Very well, very well.
Okay. Then you ran into this guy. What happened next? Do you remember?
Oh yes. So the car somersaulted thrice. I lost total control. Then it got stuck. Then what I remember was that I was still alive. I was fine. There was no way I could get the windows open. Fortunately, the windscreen had come down, and that provided the window for me to come out of the car.
So you managed to come out on your own. You were not pulled out by anybody.
Yes.
What about the other person in the other vehicle? Was it one person or more?
Actually, it's only this morning that we met at the police station when I went there to do the formalities. Then he also came there. I was not thinking about him. I was thinking about myself. I realized that I was better. I could walk. I could talk. Some few people were around to support, and they wanted me to sit down. They wanted me to organize myself. I did a little. Then, fortunately, some of the parliamentary staff workers was passing by. They saw me. They recognized me. Then they were on an Uber. Then I wanted to get to Parliament to vote because that was what was worrying me so much. Then they came out of the Uber and ordered the driver to send me to Parliament. And then they were around to take care of my valuables in the car until my niece arrived.
So an Uber took you to Parliament?
Yes.
At that time, you felt good? Did you see blood on you or anything?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even know that blood was all over me. I was just rushing to the chamber because the calls were too many. And I was going, fortunately for me, so some of the leadership, Habib in particular, was outside and he spotted me. Then he took me and then sent me to we have a male's washroom just around one of the 4 doors in the chamber for Muslim by majority side of the house. So he took me to that, and the nurses were also around, and they came around, and then it was at that point I realized blood was all over my body, and the nurses did what they needed to do. They did very well. I want to thank the parliamentary clinic workers for that wonderful job they did.
Okay, what did they do to you? They stitched you up?
They dressed me. I had a cut on my upper part of my right eye. It was very deep, so they needed to stitch it and do some of the things that they needed to do, including these painkillers and a lot of clinical work that needed to be done on me.
You had a cut on the upper part of your eye, and
yes.
I'm sure it was bleeding. And
yes.
And so on your drive to Parliament,
I didn't drive to Parliament.
I know. I mean, what I mean is that on the ride. I mean, you being in the car or the back seat or wherever you are, you didn't feel anything.
I was all thinking about the 3 revenue bills to be passed, so that Ghana can move on. Everybody will be fine, because we have been thinking about it for the past 1 month or so.
So the adrenaline in you was higher than anything else happening to your body.
Precisely so.
Now, in Parliament itself, you met your deputy whip, Habib. He took you to the washroom, and the people came to take care of you. And then what happened next?
So after they got me, the preliminary work they did on me to get me clean up and ready for vote, and I was sorry, and I wanted to even go to the chamber to vote, but I saw them talking to leadership and the clerk and maybe speaker that they should be allowed to be in the
washroom.
Ambulance.
Oh, okay. So you're taken to an ambulance?
They are taking me to the ambulance, which was parked outside. And then I was lying with one. I have to also mention one of our colleagues, MP, Dr. Kisi. He also joined the Parliament clinic nurses to perform those tasks for me in terms of getting me up. So I saw them talk to leadership, and the minority and majority plus some members of the clerk table. They came to the ambulance, and then they rescued me and then Dr. Kisi, where myself and him were counted whilst we were in the ambulance.
At this time, you were conscious. You were not dizzy.
I was fine, and I wanted to even go to the chamber to vote, but they advised that minority were willing to come and count me whilst I was in the ambulance.
In the washroom, they stitched your cut, the one on top of your eye. Did they do anything else to you on your physical body?
Yeah, they gave me drugs.
So they gave you oral drugs. You took tablets and capsules. Did they inject you?
But because of before the seizure, they injected, so it also helped lessen the pain.
You were injected in the toilet of Parliament, and you felt good about that.
You see, you may not really understand what was actually happening, and I'm sure you are also mindful of the important bills that we needed to pass, without which so many things would have gone wrong with that. So, honestly speaking, I don't know how you are going to feel about it, and I don't even care about how whoever is going to comment and feel about it. I was for Ghana, I was for my party, my government, and I needed to do whatever to get the bill passed.
Did you feel that your life was less important than the bill at that time?
Yes. If it was, you can take it like that. I'm fine, yes.
I see. So you were in the ambulance, your vote was counted. What happened next?
Yes. And then they took me to one facility, Iruke.
Iruke, in cantonment.
Yes, exactly. Where they did some scanning on my head, because the doctors were they look at the car, they look at my body, and they thought that they needed to do. And actually, the doctors also did very well. And it turned out that actually there were no problems. They did scan on my left arm, because I was also experiencing pain there, and the results were very good. So they advised that they should admit me and then observe it for a while, and then I ended up sleeping at that facility with the house of the capable and hard working doctors, with all the drugs and infusions and all the things that they did actually helped. The next morning at about 8 o'clock, 8:30, the doctor felt that my condition was stabilized and I was good to go. So he discharged me.
I see. And you traveled to Tamale?
Yes, I went to Tamale because my people, Nanton people, news had gone around that with the video of my car in that or that I was there. So many people, I would have lost so many concerts, and I'm not in a position where I could do further extra work of just visiting my people for them to see me. Because I told them they have heard my voice, I've laughed with them, I've chatted with them, but still they don't believe that even still at that, but I will, they felt that I will have broken arm or leg or some serious condition. So they just needed to see me, satisfy themselves that I was really still myself. And I had to go there.
So again, instead of resting, you decided to put politics ahead and you traveled to Nanton. Even though you could have stayed home to rest in Accra, you traveled all the way to Nanton to prove a political point that you are fine to your political support.
You don't say political point. There are other benefits of the visit if you care to know. The people really need the old men, chiefs, imams. They were all scared and worried, and the results could have. If I share you some of the experiences, it will surprise you.
So you simply want to show them that you are not dead, you are not hurt, you are fine.
No. I just wanted to save lives because people were really, feeling so bad about the condition because, they had shown pictures of the car and so many other stories.
Okay.
And a lot of people, old people, were actually not happy and they were suffering.
3 days.
I needed to choose.
3 days on, reflecting on all what happened on Friday night, is there any point where you would say now, having had the opportunity of hindsight, to say that you acted recklessly, irresponsibly as a person and also as a member of parliament and a politician?
I don't really know what kind of response I should give to this. That I drove back to Parliament to perform my legislative duty of taking a decision on a bill, and out of even if it was not for that, normally as human being, as you can be. You yourself, sometimes you are overwhelmed, you are under pressure, and you can behave, you can act unreasonable in some cases. Human beings can act reasonably in most cases, and one or two occasions, like I found myself on the Friday, you can act unreasonable. So you can.
Yeah, so that's actually why I'm asking that. Was there any point that you would say, "Oh, I think I acted unreasonably on point"?
No. I haven't.
Not even driving at top speed on a road like that.
I told you, human being, once in a while you stray off. So it's one of the many occasions that.
But it wasn't unreasonable. You don't think it was an unreasonable thing what you did?
Of course, it was. I will not also say it was reasonable. I will not say that.
And you will not say it was reckless as well?
No, it wasn't reckless. It was just maybe, I don't know, one of the cases where human being can act out of order. Human being can behave.
So you were disorderly?
Umaru, the point I'm making is that on one or two occasions, human being can stray off a little.
So you don't regret anything at all that you did that night? You don't even apologize to yourself and to your family for endangering yourself the way you did, considering that you would have...
Honestly speaking, you were not with me. I was driving back. Maybe you needed to just be with me in the car.
No, I don't want to be in an accident car.
Allow me to tell you that I was fine and I did exactly what I needed to do.
Question: if a constituent of yours was traveling from Nanton to Tamale to go sell his wares that he harvested from Nanton, and then he was involved in an accident, would you advise him to continue to the market to sell or go to the hospital and get checked first?
This is a different matter altogether. Out for market, you can be with your colleagues, marketers, farmers going to do the same work. They can take it and sell for on your behalf. With this particular one, you needed to be there to be counted personally. So you can't compare the two.
I see. Yeah. Interesting. The gentleman whom you rammed your car into, he has spoken to us. He said that you just left him there. You did nothing at all. You owed him a duty of care. Do you think you were very responsible to him?
Umaru, I am going to, I'm fasting and I don't want to talk out of order. Honestly speaking, I don't believe, unless you want me to hear the voice of the person. This man I have found this morning. We have met at the hospital, at the police station at Osu, and we had a very good conversation. We'll see what we are saying. Forgive me. forgive me, Umar.
Okay, so you have made up with him. You have apologized to him for leaving.
Don't even say apology. We were all in distress. We were seriously in trouble. I
don't think he was in trouble. You were in trouble because what he said to us was that. What he said to us this morning was that you were speeding.
As I mentioned earlier on, let's leave it at that. This gentleman will not say what you are saying.
No, he said that on the radio.
I'm telling you. Well, if you want later.
No, I'll play it after your interview. If you want to stay, you can stay and listen. I can actually play that interview. But he said that
he's a very fine gentleman.
No problem. I'm just telling you what he said. If you didn't hear him,
very high in faith, and I believe that gentleman so much.
He said you were speeding. You failed to slow down when you got to the junction, which you should have done.
I think we have passed this stage.
So the police, when you went to the police, did they say you did anything unlawful that they would have to charge you?
You know, they are doing investigation until they finish the investigation. What else can they do?
A moment of silence.
Something wicked. Hey.
5 minutes past 8. So that was Mohammed Hadi Tuferu, MP for Nanton. Let's bring you tech and social media trends before we get into more on this. Brought to you by FBN Bank. Think FBN, you first. All right, Nathan.
Yeah, a couple of very interesting things. Trending. Stonebwoy is trending. He's been going around doing media rounds to promote his latest album, The Fifth Dimension. Other trends from sports, Nagelsmann trending. You have Asante Kotoko trending. The last few days, Asante Kotoko fans have been very vocal on social media. They say they don't like the officiating in the Bet Power Ghana Premier League. They feel it's against them, so they've been organizing spaces here and there to talk about the refereeing. Other trends, Delay Hajia Bintu, all in the trends now. Delay interviewed Hajia Bintu over the weekend. It was aired on TV, and several things have popped out of that interview. So people are talking about that. So some tech news, and Australia, or the Australian government, has banned TikTok from all federal government-owned devices over security concerns, becoming the latest US allied country to take action against the Chinese-owned video app. Now, the ban underscores growing worries that China could use the Beijing-based company owned by ByteDance Limited to harvest users' data to advance its political agenda.
Is this not part of what our president
Western
calls
security interests?
Their obsession with China? Almost like the West is obsessed with China.
Okay, now as I said, it also risks renewing diplomatic tension between Australia and its largest trading partner after things eased since Prime Minister Anthony Albanese took office in May at the head of a Labour government. So, Charlie, TikTok's worries and stress is not ending now.
Tech and social media trends brought to you by FBN. You first.
One day, an old lady inherited a huge sum of money. Her family worried about how to break the good news to her. They feared that the sudden good news might give her a heart attack. And so they decided the family doctor who was experienced in delivering such news should be the one to tell her. And when he did, surprisingly, she just smiled. Relieved, he asked, "What are you going to do with all that money?" She replied, "I'm going to give you half." The doctor had a heart attack.
I get for you, I got your back, I put you first.
People are often surprised when we put them first. At FBN Bank, that's what we do. We put you first. Open an account with us today and enjoy mobile banking, USSD banking, shop and pay with our prepaid Visa cards, MasterCard, and many other services designed with you in mind. FBN Bank, you first.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Breaking news. An Easter sale at a local furniture store is causing a frenzy. Our correspondent Roland is at the scene. Hello, Roland.
Hey, that's mine. Give it back.
Roland?
Yes, I'm here at the Orca Deco sale where there's a 25% discount on everything in the store, and get your hands off that mattress. People are grabbing everything off the shelves and I said it's mine. Back to you, Sheila. Someone is trying to take my mattress. Hey!
Wow. Well, if you like a good discount, you need to be at the Orca Deco Easter sale from 3rd to 10th April. So head over there, get your 25% discount, and give your home a refresh this Easter. Think home, think Orca.
My Savior, He's alive.
The season of sacrifice, rebirth, and compassion is here again. And as it is done every year, we will be celebrating it exceptionally with our Easter special program on Citi TV. Let's come together with one heart and mind as we commemorate the death and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ with edifying songs of worship, exaltation, and praise on the 7th and 9th of April 2023. It's going to be a memorable experience as we honor the Passion of Christ with song ministrations from Edinburgh Bright Davis and Cece Beidou on Good Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Later in the day, we will make your Good Friday extra special. We will bring you a live broadcast of the 25th anniversary of Harvest Praise on Citi TV at 4 p.m. sharp. Kofi Kakari and the Bethel Revival Choir will take us away with awe-inspiring harmonies to meet our resurrected King on Easter Sunday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Stay tuned to Citi TV on Good Friday and Easter Sunday for the Easter special and be blessed. Citi TV, it's definitely your world this Easter.
He's alive for me.
Some call it the big red box. Others call it a treasure trove. Explore our range of furniture. Kitia Mall is a real wonderland with a fascinating experience. From the moment you enter, right through to the moment you leave, you will feel inspired. There's so much to see, touch, and feel as you walk through Kitia Mall. We are now open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day and 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. Visit us today off Spinkters Road and explore our range of furniture and decor accessories that match your lifestyle needs.
And listeners, we now welcome Mr. Galaxy to give us an Easter special weather report.
Thank you. Hello, lovely listeners. We can confirm that from the 3rd to the 15th of April, there's going to be a storm over selected Samsung authorized stores across the length and breadth of the country. Massive clouds are gathering and it's going to rain big discounts. 1,500 cedis off the S23 Ultra 1TB and 1,000 cedis off the 512GB version. 750 cedis off the S23 and S23 Plus. Also, for every A54 and A34, you get a backpack, and for the A14, you get a brand new bottle. Finally, you get 50 cedis off on the A04 range of phones. All Ghanaians are advised to prepare for this incoming discount storm and stay safe from non-discounted gadgets. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Myself clear, yeah. Do I make myself clear? Yeah. Then clap your hands like there was a million mosquitoes in here. Jump like you was some crazy act frontier. Party people, show me how you feeling back there. Do you want to party boogie? Then get out your chair. The big head, baby.
All right, so it's 40 minutes past 8. So on this point, Sky, I'm going to just give you the point because you were in Parliament. You saw what happened from the back end. Yesterday we interviewed the gentleman whose car was hit. Now, yesterday we spoke to the MP as well, so you can put everything together. All right, let me premise it and then you address. So I'm mixed. I have mixed feelings about this. So he said his wife had reported that his daughter was unwell and he was in a hospital in Tema, and that they had tried to give her drips. It wasn't working. So his daughter was not in a very good way. And then when there was a recess, he rushed out of Parliament to go and see his daughter. And then I think they called Parliament back while he was in Tema. So probably he said around 7 p.m. So he had to drive back to Parliament because the calls were getting too much. So you can see he was rushing. He was driving himself, which is another issue altogether. He was driving himself, and then he ran into this guy. And the accident was a serious accident. Then somehow he says some people from the parliamentary staff saw him, alerted the parliament people, they put him in their Uber, and then he left his car in their hands, and then he went to be counted. When he got to Parliament, he was bleeding. He didn't even know he was bleeding. Then they stitched him up in the toilet of Parliament and counted him. Okay. There are two. I think we can discuss what his decisions were and the process of the person. We can also look at Parliament as an institution, and if there isn't a better way, right? So that why should somebody who has an emergency with their daughter have to be in Parliament for a vote and the rules cannot be bent? If, for example, you are in an era where during COVID we did Zoom meetings, and we know the man. Is it not possible to say, because again, a lot of these rules were written before technology came, if the man is with his daughter at a hospital in Tema and he's observing proceedings, because parliamentary TV is live, we all see now Parliament's YouTube page, you can watch Parliament the whole day. Do you understand? You don't even need the media house to be there. I'm asking, does he need to be asked to come to Parliament to come and vote because of the rules? If you said Okwe reform Parliament, is this not a good chance to say, using this issue where 2 people could have lost their lives in the accident that happened, just to get a vote? We know the man was in Parliament. We know he went out to go and look for his daughter. He's coming back rushing, nearly dies. All right. I'll deal with the issue of his driving and all that, but I feel like the system we've created because of the competition in Parliament, obviously, you should be able to say, okay, let's put the man on the parliamentary screen. Is this Tuferu? Are you in sound mind? Are you going to vote? Where is your vote? Do you understand? Why does he have to be physically there? All right, that's another point. Then the whole last minute thing. You have a major decision to take. We've been working on it for many, many weeks, and it's like crunch time, and everything boils down to 1 hour. Is that even the right way of making decisions with the level of pressure we saw? And then the issue of healthcare, having to stitch him up in a toilet. We don't know whether he was properly received, whether he had lost. I don't know what they did, just because of the vote and the mindset of a politician that at that moment, all that mattered was the vote. Not my life, not the life of the guy I hate, not other road users, just because I wanted to vote. And he's interpreting that to mean he's helping the country to vote for a tax policy that I can tell you many Ghanaians, if not majority of Ghanaians, do not agree with. I mean, it's a collection of contradictions in my head. Anyway, so those are my crazy thoughts. Frame it for me.
Okay, so Bernard, I will deal with this in 4 broad ways. First, as a father. Secondly, as a driver. Thirdly, as a member of parliament. And then fourth, as a deputy minister. I think in all the circumstances of this case, one would say that any father worthy of his name who is told the kinds of things that he was reportedly told by the wife would abandon whatever he's doing to the extent that he's able to reach the hospital in good time to get there to show support to the daughter who was in hospital, and from the information that he had given us, was not in good shape. So you would want to be there to lend support to your wife and then to show your daughter that you care. Reassure her that everything possible will be done to ensure that you are back in good health. So on that score, it is difficult to find fault with that. Because mind you, family emergencies have been cited in the past to give excuses to MPs who had left the jurisdiction and went on to spend quite a lot of time outside the jurisdiction. So all of us as human beings, first of all, must recognize this fact. And politicians would also have to recognize this fact, that the man was doing what mattered to him, which was to ensure that the daughter was safe.
Okay.
So that's the first one. I wouldn't fault him on that.
So on the father's side, but somebody will say he should have stayed with his daughter, but that's a different discussion. Because he described a very serious situation, and he had to leave her and come to Parliament because the calls were getting so much. So let's move to the driver issue.
So the driver issue, as a driver on the road, the law imposes a number of obligations on you. You are to get yourself safe on the road to your destination. You are also, in the process of doing so, required to ensure that your use of the road does not expose other road users or potential road users to unnecessary danger. And where there is a transgression of these requirements, the law immediately imposes an obligation. Now, if you look at Section 3 of the Road Traffic Act of 2004, it talks about careless and inconsiderate driving. And Bernard, with your permission, let me quote the language of the law. It says that, quote, a person who drives a motor vehicle on a road without due care and attention, or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the road, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding 2,000 penalty units, or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 5 years, or to both. Unquote. So what it means is that the courts must first of all establish that you were driving a motor vehicle and that you were doing the same on the road, and you were a person and you did the driving without due care and attention or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the road, and in the process caused harm or damage to whoever is affected. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is whether, on the facts of this particular case, it is possible to come to a conclusion that the honorable member, on the night that this whole thing happened, satisfied all the requirements of the law as I have read to you.
It appears so. Read it again.
Yes. So the law, Section 3 says, careless and inconsiderate driving. Quote, a person who drives a motor vehicle on a road without due care and attention, or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the road, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding 2,000 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 5 years, or both. So Bernard, the justice of the High Court...
No, I can't sit in a judge in my own court, but it's very clear from his own admission that he was driving recklessly.
Exactly.
And he's admitted that he endangered his life and the life of the other passenger or the other vehicle. This is his own admission.
Yes, that's right.
I did not deny it. So based on Section 3, if somebody is minded to press charges, clearly he's in violation. We don't know. The only angle I'll bring though is that, remember yesterday Haruna said in the case of the Savelugu MP, and Haruna said, let me read so that I don't misquote him. Parliamentary emergency must count for immunity. But I think he was saying that in context to a call. Let me read the story just to put that in context. Tamale South MP, this is my journal line, has called for a case to be made on whether parliamentary emergencies cannot be a justification for a member of parliament to stay out of court. So this is court. So I don't want to misquote him, but I'm bringing that in as to whether that sort of softens this offense in any way. He says within the realm of the doctrine of separation of powers, it's only when an MP is ill and indisposed that they can be excused. But speaking at the Tamale High Court, where he had come to solidarize with the MP for Savelugu, Idrisu Jacob Abdullahi, who was in court in relation to alleged possession of arms without lawful authority, Mr. Idrisu said there was the need for a strong case to be made for MP staying out of court because of parliamentary emergencies. And then he said the MP for Savelugu could not have stayed away from parliament because he had to represent the people of Savelugu. And then he had to be in the House of Parliament to exercise the representation role as MP for Savelugu to vote on some tax legislations. The judge did not find that convincing enough and thus applied the law. But according to Haruna, there is the need to see how to evolve our democracy and judicial law further. The lawmaker assured Ghanaians that Mr. Idris was a responsible elected member of parliament who would never be a fugitive from justice. And then he just says he probably did not exercise good judgment in the reasons provided. So the context here, and I don't want to compare oranges to apples, but an MP was served with a notice to come to court and he did not go. And the court was minded to
issue bench
warrant for his arrest. And Harun's argument and the lawyer's argument is that there was a parliamentary emergency. So parliament is calling, court is calling. Parliament is the second arm of the government. Judiciary is the third arm. So let's not get into conflict. Let's modify the law. So let's put that aside. Can we pull some of the principles of this and I bring it in and say this guy was going to parliament to pass a law in the supreme interest of the nation, at least based on the government's policy plans. And in doing so, he then violated Section 3 of the Road Traffic Act. Does the parliamentary duty and the parliamentary emergency, if you are just sitting in the court, would you use that to I want a word, what's the another word for soften? You can call it a mitigating circumstance, if that's to say, look, you are offending a law clearly here, but because of what you were rushing to go and do. So a doctor can say same, that I was going to save a patient, which is why ambulances drive the way they drive. All right. Can we use parliamentary emergency and equate it to a health emergency, for example?
Okay, so in law, there is a defense known as the defense of necessity. What defense basically would excuse an accused person in situations where he transgressed the law, where there is an overriding need to, say, protect another or to protect someone else or to protect property or to do something as to save necessity, a greater evil. So let's say that there are two competing evils. There's one greater than the other, and the person takes a calculated attempt to save the greater evil by doing something that is not in excess of requirement.
So for example, you are saving a falling child, and in doing so you destroy somebody's car. So so somebody's falling to hurt himself, a baby, and then in trying to save the baby, you damage somebody's property in doing this.
Exactly.
You are saying that the doctrine of necessity will say that which of the two harms was worse. So the judge will weigh saving a falling baby from breaking somebody's car windscreen and say, even though I destroyed private property by diving and catching that baby, the baby's falling would have killed the baby. Destroying your car windscreen, we can buy a new one. So the doctrine of necessity will say, even though I am liable for breaking private property because I've saved life. But the question is, does that vitiate? So does that mean that because I save a baby's life, I don't need to pay for the broken windscreen? Or the state will say, since you save a baby's life, and the baby's life is more important than the windscreen, the state will pay for the windscreen. Or the person whose windscreen is hurt, you say, Charlie, a baby has been saved, so let your windscreen die. Or you say you save the baby, okay, but still pay for the windscreen.
Okay, so let me take it on two levels. The first part, and relate it more to the member of parliament. The first part.
Since we do it hypothetically, then we bring it in so that people will know that, you see, we need to deal with the principle before we come to the particular. Otherwise, it will look like you are trying to try the guy. Which is why I'm giving the example of somebody is saving a falling child, and in doing so, he cracks another person's car windscreen and damages it beyond repair. How would the doctrine of necessity come in and see if it even applies here?
So, first of all, someone's life was in danger, right?
Yes.
You took an action. The action that you took, was it proportionate in a sense as to deal with the problem that you had seen?
I dived and I caught the baby and I broke the windscreen.
So if it was proportionate, I would argue that what you did saved a life. It was necessary. The action you took was not disproportionate as to cause the kind of damage that hell will break loose, and that property that has been saved in the process can always be replaced.
So let's come to the MP now.
So now, in the case of the MP, there is a difficulty. First, he was returning from the hospital. To a large extent, people would say, is that really relevant for our purpose? Let's terminate
let's take that out.
Let's take that out and deal with his role as a driver on the road. He was rushing to a parliament. A bill that was going to be passed to save the national economy. Strictly speaking, at least that's how it's been pitched. Can we argue that it necessarily invokes the defense of necessity so that it will require him to drive recklessly to Parliament. Well, let's look at the numbers. The NDC at the time of the vote had proposed an amendment. Which amendment was to the excise duty tax?
Yes.
What do you call it? Excise duty amendment bill.
Yeah.
If that amendment was carried, it would have made nonsense of the entire legislation because it was just one clause which was being amended. And what they sought to do was to actually defeat the whole purpose of putting the legislation forward in the first place.
Good.
So if the MP was not in Parliament and we assume that all the other numbers are equal, in other words, 136, the NDC would have lost the vote because the rules and the constitution say that where the votes are split equally, the vote is lost. Do you understand?
But there was no way the MP was going to know this because for him, they were calling him that if he doesn't come, and I think you need to discuss this not just from the particular first vote, but the overall vote.
Yeah.
Taking into consideration the voice vote, the head count, and the division collectively. If the NDC had been minded to stretch this, his absence from Parliament would have meant that the thing was defeated.
Yes.
So I think you should contextualize it now. We are not necessarily going to the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so let me put it together and say the totality of the bills.
Yes.
He was needed in Parliament to show up the numbers of the majority side.
Yes, because their majority is by one.
Exactly.
And if it's not there, they will lose.
They will lose because there will be a split vote.
Yes.
Assuming that all other MPs
are there.
So it's 136, 136.
Good.
So if he is added to it, it becomes 137.
Good.
In which case, he would help the government to pass the bill.
Yes.
His absence there would mean that the MPP loses the vote.
And then they can't pass it. And the next quarter will not have 4 billion cedis.
Exactly. So the argument would be his presence there would have saved Ghana going to the IMF and
delaying the IMF deal based on the understanding of the government.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is if it is true that the bills actually help us to do that.
Very good point.
But if it can be proven that it is possible to secure the deal
without the bill,
in which case what he did was not proportional, or is that the word to use? Proportionate. That's good.
Yeah.
Proportionate to what ultimately would have been the outcome. Then he will be.
But
faulted.
do we have to tie parliamentary necessity to even the IMF deal? We can simply say we know that in Parliament there's a closed Parliament and that one vote is important, and that if it wasn't there, an important national tax will not be passed. So the question now is where the importance of the tax vote and the life of the person who nearly died. Okay, so on one hand, you are saying you are rushing. So in his head, he's saving Ghana. That's what he kept saying to Zara. I'm saving Ghana. I'm rushing because he's left his daughter and he's rushing, driving recklessly to go and save, which in itself is funny. Driving recklessly to go and save, Ghana, right? And so I'm saying, is it even possible to even weigh the value of one life? A young man who was going home after a late evening. And he was also trapped in his car, and then he left him for dead, essentially, because it says when he came out of his car, he was just put in another car by the parliamentary people, and then they left the guy. So he didn't even stop to see whether the guy is dead or alive. And he went to Parliament, and they stitched him up, and then he voted. All right. Again, you are not a judge, so I don't know whether this is fair, but a human life versus a national policy is even comparable. You probably need to talk about just the necessity of going to Parliament. Now, going to Parliament to perform a national duty. In performing a national duty, must you endanger somebody's life? I think the answer is no. Because a policeman can say I'm performing a national duty. Everybody who works in the public sector can say I'm performing a national duty at different levels. He is a highly visible MP. But otherwise, somebody can be conducting traffic, all right? And then somebody comes to disturb you, then he takes a gun and shoots the person, slaps the person and say, I'm conducting national duty, you are here disturbing me, so leave me to do my national duty. Do you get my point? So I am not a lawyer, but I feel like a human life. So the reason why Section 3 is key is the issue of human life. Like if you drive recklessly, you are endangering other people and you are going to kill them. And killing a person by recklessly driving, you cannot justify that for any reason, which is why when it comes to killing people, and I don't want to go into murder, and the guy is not dead, he's alive. But I'm just saying, if you were to weigh the danger he gave the guy, you are talking about first. There are different levels of murder, right? You guys talk about first degree murder, manslaughter, and all those things. So the point is that when you end a person's life, the law takes a serious view of it. When you endanger a person's life, the law takes a very serious view of it. Now, think about it. Somebody didn't go to court, right? And the MP is pleading parliamentary necessity for just not going to court, which will not kill anybody. Right? So for even not going to court, he's pleading immunity. But now we're talking about somebody's life that you nearly ended.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's going to be a difficult matter. Again, we don't even know how the police will sort of decide. I'm not even thinking they are going to prosecute. But for the sake of education and for the sake of public discourse, I think if the human being is at the center of what we do in the country, the MP needs a talking to seriously, because even the way he answers Sanders' questions, I don't see any remorse. Like, you know what, I'm saving the national interest, I'm going to vote for my party. So everybody else can go. Which I don't think is right, because you see, you have to know that the citizen that you are rushing to go and pass a law to save his country, one of them is who you nearly killed.
Okay.
Now, if you disregard the life of this one person in the name of I'm going to save the overall collective by signing a tax policy which is even contentious in the first place, I don't see how that sits in terms of congruence of logic. Do you understand me? It's easy for me to sit here and say this because he was under a lot of pressure, and I also understand that going to see your daughter in the hospital and rushing back affects the way you conduct yourself. Okay, and then the other question arises: is this person even fit to be driving? All right, because does a driving license just give you the all clear to drive always? Should there not be another test? Because here you are, you just left a situation of emergency, and you are being pressured to go to another situation. So you are not even in the right frame of mind. So maybe you should rather plead. Instead of necessity, you should rather plead a certain level of mental stress. Honestly, because you are talking about two very highly stressful emotional conditions, right? You have just left a family in the hospital in Tema, and you are rushing because they are saying if you don't come and vote, it means you let down the government, right? So he wasn't even in the proper frame of mind. Again, whether that's a defense, I don't know. But I feel like that's more where the meat of the issue is. His frame of mind at the time, because we don't know if he has any traffic offense history, so we don't know if he's a reckless driver by behavior.
Yeah,
but you can come into the question of how come he was in the state in which he was. And is it his responsibility to say he didn't drive, or did the pressure of the situation at home and the pressure of the parliamentary people calling him force him to do what he didn't do? So can we even cite the majority as accomplices in this? That by calling this guy and calling his phone how many times, you've stressed the guy to the point that he nearly killed somebody.
So that's why I have those other elements. But Bernard, I understand where you are coming from. And you see, that is why the law creates elements of the defense of necessity and how to raise it. It is not available for murder. If you look at the decision of the UK courts in Dudley and Stevens, where people killed, others on a boat that suffered shipwreck and ate parts of the body in order to survive because they were at sea.
What kind of case is that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a decided authority.
All right, let's move.
You see, honestly, the court took the view that look, you cannot kill another person and eat the same in the name of hunger and necessity is invoked as a defense. But you see, in a very recent case, I've forgotten I think it was the Ex parte A or something like that. I've forgotten the case. Twins conjoined, joined at the hips and their organs joined together. The question was whether doctors could separate them, even if it meant that one of them would die. The courts made a very delicate decision, allowed the operation to be carried out, although it meant that one of them would die as a result. Of course, the parents were opposed to it. Now, that is now raised as some element of the availability of the defense in cases where murder is committed or where someone's actions lead to the death of another.
So the law is interesting, and so I don't. As I've said, there's necessity. We've spoken about parliamentary emergency. We've spoken about the frame of mind. But it's not just a law issue. Let's just talk about public policy and the nature of what they were trying to pass and the public sentiment about it. And the kind of pressure the MP and his party had put themselves under. I'm coming back to a question about why Parliament itself needs that guy to be physically there to vote. Can they not do something about their standing orders in 2023, right? Where I'm saying that for post-COVID, everything has changed. We said COVID is ground zero.
It's not a standing order as a matter.
What is it?
When I went to the Supreme Court in the case that was not decided, but Justice's case was decided, I was seeking to deal with some of these issues. The Constitution requires you to be present in Parliament and to vote for the vote to count
in person.
Yeah. So the language is you must first of all be present and you must have
present
voted.
and voting.
So can you say that if you are with your daughter in a hospital outside Parliament and a decision is being taken in Parliament and you are in that hospital and you have to take part in the decision, would the law allow you to be in hospital and then vote?
So the question is, what does present mean?
Exactly. So, if you read the decision in Justice Abdullah's case, of course, the question of presence properly so-called was not discussed by the Supreme Court. It was not explained as to mean that, okay, you have to be in the chamber or you have to be within the
precincts. They just used the
Parliament.
question of those who were there instead of 275 or 230. That's how they interpreted the present and voting.
If my case was decided, that matter would have been sufficient.
So yours was a different emphasis.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So the Speaker has decided that presence in Parliament should be read to mean within the precincts of Parliament. In which case, when he was in the washroom, he was counted
because he was in the precincts of Parliament. He was not on the floor.
Exactly. You understand? So changing the rules will mean we have to amend the constitution.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that where the law was not made for man, but man was not made for the law was made for man. So I'm saying that now we've seen what has happened, and we are also very clear that, for example, I'm on the board. We've held board meetings on Zoom where people have been absent, people have been present. So how do you know you are present? Because you are on the Zoom, your video every 30 minutes you show your video, whatever, to show you are there. Can we not improve the way we practice our parliamentary democracy?
It can also be subject to abuse.
Oh, everything can be subject to abuse.
Bernard.
So you put rules around. So you agree to the general principle. So I'm not saying they should make MPs at home and do parliament. Here is a specific case. It can be properly vetted by the whips and verified. So for example, if there's a medical emergency, somebody is in the hospital, the person has a laptop and he can follow parliamentary proceedings on the video. He is on the Zoom. The clerk can make sure that he's there. If they have to contribute, he can send his comments by whatever. I'm saying that we are in 2023. We want to develop as a country. I'm not saying everything in the constitution is bad, but we may also be able to say, let's going forward, find ways of improving our parliamentary practice to include technology. That's all.
I agree to some extent with the idea that we could make Parliament sit online. And in fact, I made that argument much earlier when COVID was around, that we should not convene at one place and be holding parliamentary sessions. But see, the difficulty is, if, for instance, a member of Parliament is held at gunpoint to make a decision against his will, how are you going to establish that he was acting without duress of whatever external circumstances there may be? Do you understand?
There are systems you can use. So Sky, everything can be abused. All right. So there's different authentications you can create. You can create a system where if an MP is going to speak, he's in front of a video, he uses fingerprints. Yes, somebody can hold him to gunpoint, but those are extreme cases.
Bernard, you see, you never know.
We will never advance in society. We always, you see, this is my principle. There's anything you want to do, there's an extreme possibility that it will go bad. You don't start from there. You start by what you want to do, and then you ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? Then you take what could the worst that could happen and solve it. But you don't start solving the problem by asking that because somebody can be hijacked behind his computer, we shouldn't consider the idea of having parliament using technology.
No, Bernard, I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider. I'm just pointing out what excesses there could be in matters like that. I think the better view.
Even haven't you been told that even somebody was impersonated in this parliament?
Bernard,
this parliament that the speaker even said that people have to be there. We're not in this country where we were told that an MP was not there and somebody came to sit there and wear a mask and pretended to be that MP.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's no foolproof system anywhere.
I understand. So hold on. Let me give you the better view. Let me give you my view on the matter. The better view, I believe, is first of all to build consensus around issues. Of course, you will not always get consensus around issues, but we must work towards that, because if NDC MPs and NPP MPs were working truly in the interest of the people of Ghana, the question would not have even arisen in the first place as to whether we needed additional 4 billion Ghana cedis in revenue. Because we have said consistently here that the government had mismanaged the economy into a point where we have to now rely on external support to save it. So if things were working properly, we wouldn't have gotten here. Because NDC MPs were opposed to it. NPP MPs were for it. Why should all of them have entrenched positions on a matter as critical as that?
That's the bigger question.
When it would seem that a good number of people were opposed to the idea of imposing new taxes. The second
So
issue,
how did we even get here?
How did we even get here?
So force such a situation.
Exactly. The second issue is, why don't we have electronic voting?
Good question.
The whole business of, we have to do head count. We have to go do secret. Yeah, that's right. It should be possible to press a knob.
And then they'll know.
You know within seconds
who voted for
what.
Everybody has a specific knob connected to a system.
Exactly. You can do that.
You can vote only once.
Yeah, you can vote only when you press it. And it should be connected to your biometrics. If that's
your thumbprint. Yes.
Exactly, your thumbprint. So when you press it, if I go to Parliament and I press it, it will not function.
Because it's not your hand.
Exactly. But if a member of Parliament properly integrated in the system, puts his thumb on the thing and votes for a particular candidate, it should show. So I think that in my view, is a better
progressive way of dealing
with the issue.
But now let's put everything together. Okay. So this morning, what should happen next? He's voted. They've passed the bill. He's suggested to Sanda that he's dealt with the victim and that they've spoken, which suggests that there's probably going to be some settlement of the accident issue. We don't have the details of that. Will the police? I don't know. Because we've seen police. This is the other point of consistency. Police have gone to arrest an opposition MP, claiming that the MP was leading a riotous demonstration in Adenta and tried many times to get him to be arrested. All right. So if the police is to be consistent, here's somebody who's come on air to say that I drove recklessly. Of course, he's reported himself to the police. They've written, but are they minded to even press charges, or because it's a minister and a MP, they will leave it there?
Okay.
Do you get the point? Okay,
These
so
are all
other questions that
that was why I said that there are two elements to it. First, there's a civil element to it, and there's a criminal element to it. The civil element would be the guy who was hit by the vehicle. Sanda reference, duty of care owed him by the guy the MP who was driving. So he can initiate a civil action and say that, look, you harmed me, so it's a tortious liability.
Destroy my car.
Exactly. And in the process, you have to pay me compensation, restore my car, and all the issues that come with it. And then take care of my health and all of that. The other issue is where the state, through the police or the attorney general, bring action against the member of parliament for breaching the Road Traffic Act, the relevant section that I quoted for you. Now the question would be, of course, when the AG or the police are taking a decision to prosecute, one of the things they consider is whether it is in the public interest to prosecute a particular matter. Now that's a decision that they would have to make.
But what does the public interest mean?
They determine it on a case-by-case basis.
What do we mean by public interest?
Okay, so in this case, the argument will be made. So the defense of necessity, which I raised earlier. If the Attorney General takes the view that it was in the public interest for him to get to Parliament, failure to do so would have meant that we would not secure this bill, and which would mean that we will lose the IMF ABCD. And on the basis of that, I don't think that it is in the public interest to prosecute the gentleman. He will come to that conclusion. And under Article 88, he initiates, legal proceedings of that nature.
He can interpret the public interest the way how he wants.
But he doesn't have to be.
But there are guidelines.
Yeah, there are general guidelines. So that is how we should look at it. Now,
will this have been different if we were an NDC MP? So let's assume, and again, listeners, sorry if I'm sounding a bit pedantic, but we have to think through issues, right?
That's correct.
That's how come you correct system. So let's put everything together and say, let's assume it was an NDC MP. Because mind you, Nanton was an NDC seat until 2020.
Yes.
Right? And an NDC MP rushing to Parliament to make up the numbers. And then he runs it to somebody, and then they put him in a car, and he goes to a washroom, and then they call the majority or whatever. Because NDC is minority. And then he does all of this.
Yeah.
Will the conversation be different if he was an NDC MP?
So let me cite two examples. Lawyer Sosu, forgive me. I just saw a text. Francis. It's not lawyer. I don't like the use of lawyer Sosu. It's not right. It's honorable.
He suffered to get it.
No, it's not a title. So it's wrong. You remember that he was, arrested previously, or they sought to arrest and prosecute him for allegedly violating, a number of traffic regulations, if my memory serves me correctly. And then you also remember Bakavomao, the guy who the state is prosecuting for allegedly threatening coup d'etat and all of that. He was arrested also on a traffic-related
offense.
Exactly. Now, if you look at those, can you strictly say that in those circumstances, we were told at the time he was supposed to be going to court?
Yes, he was on his way to court.
And then he was arrested.
East Legon traffic light or something.
Yeah, that's right. Something like that.
Yes.
if those facts are correct, and we try to match them, then it would seem that if the lawyers, the police, or the AG, they are being fair, then the honourable member would have to be arrested and prosecuted in line with the road traffic laws of our country.
The police say they are investigating, and usually when the police say they are investigating, that's code for saying, Charlie, it's okay, we'll come back to you later when it suits us. That's what it means. But it's a very important question. So, and see, again, listeners, you cannot advance a democracy if the rules are not applied fairly. All right? I understand parliamentary necessity, but I also understand there are issues that have to do with the individual who may decide to settle out of court or whatever. But this is a high-profile case which is a test to the way we actually believe in the constitution that we claim to be protecting. Right? And in fact, if we have time, there's a lot of things we have to say about the police. The mining story in Axim, Government had prepared a whole dossier on that. The police statement, and all of that. Okay, and then even the police conduct in the eviction of people at Goma, Budumburam, all coming in, right? So you have raised very important questions about consistency of application of the rules. All right, between the AG and the police, why was Lawyer Sosu's matter so important to them? Why was Vakavoma also important to them? And why are we? Of course, I don't want to prejudice this. I hear they went to the police station and they have made statements. Okay, but based on consistency's sake, for somebody to admit on air that he said, "Sandra, you can use any word you use because I was driving, recklessly, because I was going to defend my country." I think there has to be some direction from the AG, even if it's not going to prosecute. As you said, he needs to explain the public interest reason why he believes that this is not on the same level as the other two cases we've mentioned, for the sake of consistency and application of the rules. Because once you become selective, you are then undermining the whole essence of constitutional democracy.
And mind you, there was this member of parliament we caught on the Why campaign.
Yes.
Who was shouting, "Hey, I'm going to parliament."
He went to pay.
He went to pay on trial.
Yeah, he went to pay.
And he went to pay.
He was fined. Yes,
and he paid for it.
Yeah.
So if you look at those circumstances,
Feel me where? He went to pay. He went to the film.
And eventually, apparently, he lost his seat. Or
Charlie, the whole thing was a debacle.
So if you are being fair in the application of the law, it is reasonable to argue that he should face prosecution. But also, Bernard, the politician and the deputy minister element also
comes in. That's the fourth leg.
Exactly.
Anyway, by the way, let me just say that, sorry I'm stretching this. A couple of interviews coming up. I'll be speaking to Sami Oku at 9 o'clock on NLA. He's the CEO of NLA. And NLA has so many stories in the newspapers today. We're going to ask him, Sami, what is it? What is it? Why are you? So
like 1 week this.
So when he comes, we'll ask him about the Lotto matter because he's seriously on his way here. If Lotto things, every newspaper carry today some Lotto matter. Sami Oku will not let us rest. So we are going to speak to him on some key things. They supported Heritage Caravan, and they are collaborating with the IT authorities to detect fraud in the system. They are hosting an African Lotteries Association seminar, and then they are hoping to raise revenue for the government, and then they are also doing some internal things for staff. So there's a lot of things Sami will be talking about. But let's come back to you.
So the man is a member of government as a deputy minister.
Good.
Appointed by the president. So he owes a certain responsibility to the government, which is what? Ensure that the government does not fail. Ensure that the government delivers on its promise to the good people of Ghana. And if it is properly argued that by not securing an IMF deal, the government could go down because the economy will be taking down a serious hit as a result, then it would be fair to argue that it was in his own interest. Because if he had not gone and the vote had gone against the government, of course, the next thing the president will be doing is most likely advising himself, sacking him from government, right?
But he's defending government.
No, what I'm saying is
he's endangered his life for the government.
No, I'm saying No, what I'm saying is that if he had not gone to parliament at all,
he would have been hot.
Yeah, he would have been hot. And that would also mean that he would have lost his seat because people
They will say the one Judas who let us to lose.
Because as we speak, the NDC people are still looking for those.
They are looking for them.
My brother is still updating his list on his status.
Thank you for what you have done. Posterity will be fair to you.
Thank you for not betraying the God.
Oh, Ghana.
So Bernard, broadly, those are the elements I see, and I'll leave the rest.
So you're saying that the fact that he was deputy minister placed in his head more onus on him to be in parliament.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, let's read some comments. Nathan, we've had a long-winding legal discussion. What are the comments coming through? 054-9986-996-855. This is just one of three issues we want to discuss. Later, we'll probably deal with the Gomwa issue. But MP gives an interview on Eyewitness News, spills the beans, says he was not in the right frame of mind. He was just determined to go and be counted. So he will not let his country, his party, and his budget down. Somebody's rolling his eyes here, but I'm going to ignore him. Later, we'll just read the comments and we'll move on. Oh, Lord.
This one says, so the parliamentarian is telling us imposing tax on the already suffering people is more important than his own life. You see their mindset. He should be charged for reckless driving.
He says he's saving the economy from collapse
and endangering the lives of other road users. Manuel in Tema.
You know, this case, if it had gone to court, it would be so interesting because we even bring an economist to say, what's the relationship between the 4 billion and the state of the economy? And if the economy collapses, will we all be here? You know, some economists can argue that if you don't get that 4 billion, there will be no money to pay police, no money to pay, there will be law and order, more people would die. So, you know, so all kinds of things can be said if you stretch this thing to its extreme limits, you know. So let's go on.
All right, this one says, so upon all the taxes they are taking and paying, we the poor citizens of this, I'm paying we the poor citizens of this country back by taking us to the IMF. This MP still risked his life to come and help pass another bill on taxation.
Yes, please.
Small food, 4 pieces of chicken, mango chop. See the amount of money being paid as tax. God help us.
No go very well, right?
Ezekiel Young. And this one says, if this is what the MP said, then he should be prosecuted for speeding. Felix from Tesh.
Alex from Airport has an interesting point. He says, you read this already, right?
Okay, he says, listening to the narration of the MP, he was willing to sacrifice his life to help pass new taxes that will impose hardship on Ghanaians.
No, that will save the economy.
Yeah, because, so that perspective changes.
His view is that the tax will save Ghanaians. Your view is that the tax will impose hardship.
Will the tax impose hardship or not?
Yeah, but you can't take it only one. It will save the government and impose hardship.
So at the same time, through the imposition of hardship, it will save us.
Yeah.
Then he says, wow, never in my 32 years on this earth have I seen something like this. Alex from Airport.
Yes.
For some reason, I can't hear.
You can't hear yourself.
But
I can hear you. You're loud on air.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, this one says, Ghana is really in a bad place. An MP openly admitting to speeding and causing a road traffic crash, yet sees nothing wrong with it. He's a lawmaker, for crying out loud. Then the message concludes, only God. Next one, it says, Jehovah, I'm crying thinking this is an MP. The police should pick him up and put him in jail. Did I hear him say, the police are done with the investigation? What else can they do?
No, they went to write statements. So it's until the police are done. They can't, no.
All right. Maxwell from Northridge says, this Nanton MP is very reckless and irresponsible. So now politics is more important than lives. Really? To risk one's life just to pass taxes that will burden the very citizens whose taxes you enjoy?
Here's another one. Good morning. Are the MPs aware that infections can be transmitted from the toilet, which is not private but public? But Sky, are you saying that within Parliament there's no place they could have put him other than the toilet?
No, they have.
Is there not like a medical emergency room?
Oh, they have a clinic which is in the Job 600.
Is it not in the precincts of Parliament?
It is within the precincts of Parliament, but it's outside the chamber.
Oh, the toilet was to wash his hair of the blood. Charlie, because
no, when he came, he was just going in giddy.
Yeah, but I'm saying that is there not a place in the Parliament which is like a triaging center, like a medical emergency room or something?
Not within the chamber block. In fact, previously, if you go down to the foyer, there was a clinic to
inside.
Exactly. But I don't know what
Charlie, for that delicate sewing operation.
So they actually put bodyguards there to prevent other MPs
from entering.
From going to use.
But this one was downloaded.
Right, this one.
In a meeting.
This one says, we are not serious as a country
at all.
The Nanton MP is a disgrace to Parliament.
Oh, how?
You drive so. Okay, I don't know why I say sheepishly, but essentially put someone's life in danger, and you come and defend this without regrets, and you are unapologetic.
Charlie, he saved his country.
Abraham from British Accra.
Terrible.
This one says, the revelations by the Honourable MP are shocking, and they show what our political class can do for power. If the Honourable MP doesn't care about his life, I wonder if he will care about the life of his followers in the quest for power. This should be a big lesson for us, the citizens, and the ordinary Ghanaians, especially with the youth. Mauli from Tamale. Dela from Pokwase says, I feel sorry for our nation. This man is an MP in our parliament?
Sure.
I see.
Look at you.
Anyway, more. So while the Nanton MP was getting the best care in the precincts of Parliament, and subsequently at the hospital, the man he ran into was left to his feet.
If it wasn't for the two people who were there who sent him to the hospital, he probably would have been left in his car.
Okay.
So you see the other point. And Sky, there's a view somebody's sharing that I think we should consider. He says, Ben, traffic offences are what we call strict liability offences. Thus, the defense of necessity does not apply. For strict liability offences, there's no need for the prosecution to even prove the mental element of the offense. So this is somebody's view. So, the lawyers, everybody has an angle.
Let me just ask the person to consider there was a view expressed by Lord Denning in Lecoq VGLC.
Venerable Lord Denning.
In what VCG?
Yeah, that's right. In this case, I mean...
It's a case it was... Check his number. No, Denning versus Mini.
No, it was Beckock versus GLC.
And they said what?
He cited an example of someone driving a fire truck. And then, he gets close to a traffic intersection where the red light is on. But he could see that there was a fire, on the other side of the road. He could drive down immediately, running through the red light, and go and attend to the fire. If he stops at a traffic light, he would have been observing the law, right?
Yes.
But if he crosses the traffic light, he would have been going to save a fire situation.
Breaking the law to save a life.
So the question is, in the two circumstances, what should be the approach?
Do road traffic offences apply to fire trucks?
Yes, they should ordinarily.
No, I don't think
so. But since his decision, there have been legal provisions to allow for...
Which is why ambulances and fire trucks can run through because of the doctrine of necessity. But he's saying that this guy is not a fire truck. He's a private citizen going to do his work in the parliament. And then he violates a road traffic offence, which he considers a strict liability offence. So if you were a policeman or a fire
you should charge him.
But no, if you're a policeman or a fire service person, you could have then said because of what I'm... But the being, going to vote in parliament...
There's not necessity enough.
That's why the judges have their salary. That's why they pay judges. This is not my work. That's why people go to law school. So all right, so lots of comments. A lot of them seem to be saying that they didn't like the way the MP spoke in the interview. And they feel like he didn't show remorse.
And you see, Bernard, I think in circumstances like that, it's important that people realize that, look, there's a professional for everything. You don't just get up after such a major thing and start granting interviews. And this is not, I'm not speaking as a... No. The reason is that, look, you affected someone's life. The person is going to be out of work for some time because he has to take care of himself. And people have been impacted. So when you are on radio talking about it, you need to be sensitive to those sensibilities. Or is that the word? Yeah, because you cannot just have a cavalier attitude to the whole thing.
Yeah, like, Sandra, I'm saving my country.
So properly,
you can call it anything you want.
Properly, someone ought to have sat him down. A proper statement ought to have been drafted. Apologies.
I don't even know, but I don't even understand why he was allowed to travel to Tamale. Because he could have granted an interview by phone to a Tamale radio station if he claims that he wanted his people to see it was okay. Diamond FM can call him and say, Honorable Tufero, we saw you were in an accident. How are you? So I'm fine. I'm home. But to now sit in a plane after being stitched up on Friday and then fly to Tamale, This is the whole thing,
I'm even worried that he may not be.
Yeah, everything is sacrificed at the altar of politics.
It's wrong.
Well, that's what we've created. This is what we've said. The society has created a politics that everything can die for. It's a serious issue. So there are so many layers of this discussion, which we will not be able to exhaust within the time we have. But if you have another angle, please be careful. Be free to send us your view. 054 998 6996. Bernard, during the last petition, didn't the court go to the residence of one of the witnesses to testify? I think it's the Supreme Court issue.
Because our rules allow for online, testimonies like that.
Yes. So Rojo testified by video.
Yep.
But our parliament hasn't moved to that extent because it's a constitutional and also a legal and regulatory.
Because Parliament, sessions of Parliament, Article 112, a session of Parliament shall be held at such a place within Ghana. So that is where they say it has to be a physical place within the country. All right, so if you do it outside Ghana, it's not Parliament.
Unless Parliament, he said within Ghana, so it has to necessarily
be within Ghana. Unless Ghana goes.
But it can't be in Adafianu, my village. The speaker can designate Adafianu.
Of course he can.
Lakapa area.
I know you have plans. Yes. Anyway, so look, we need to move on, right? And I feel a lot of people. For me, I hope this helps us to think about our situation. I think Kasky's point about the way Parliament has let itself down, the extreme hard stance on both sides, the government's insensitivity to the people in terms of all these taxes, that's what has brought us, all of us here, right? And the economy that has not been managed well, and all of the issues around. Let's not cover the issue. The point is that we've been brought here by mismanagement, all right? And that's what has led to all of this desperate moves to raise revenue by people who said that they were moving from production to taxation and have imposed so many taxes on people. Businesses are shouting, they're not being heard. Civil society is speaking, they're not being listened to. Media is talking, they are being ignored. So the point is that the government has to take a serious hard look at itself and fix the economy that it has broken
too many levels
so badly.
Compromise. They bring new money, they can't tell us why. Are they ask them why? You have the secretary, but get the BA. One do the work, one do the BJ. But those who do the work, you leave them bleeding. When it comes to election day, I go ask you what you plan for me. Unless you show me, unless you show me. You see the politician, they like we say, they drop our money like we just no day. Unless you show me, unless you show me.
All right, so we are moving to a couple more issues, but Standard Water has over 25 years experience in providing quality and refreshing water to quench your thirst. This refreshing brand of water is available in 11 regions of Ghana, and we're expanding to cover the rest. We have sachet water, bottled water, dispenser mounted jar water, and customized water for your parties and other special occasions. We are available for purchase at supermarkets, retail shops, and sales delivery trucks. Call 0202 055703 or 0547 334 385 to get Standard Water.
When it comes to election day, I go ask you
and join our fun-packed and adventure-filled packages to Dubai this Easter from the 9th to the 17th of April for only $1350 USD, and our Europe tour package to Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, France, and Switzerland between the 7th and the 18th for only 3,500 euros. The package includes visa assistance, hotel accommodation, tours, ticket, airport transfers, and more. This is from Copan Travel and Tours. The Copan Travel card gives you special discounts in partner hotels, restaurants, general merchandise, fashion and beauty outlets, and more. Call 0556 965 924. That's 0556 965 924. Copan Hospitality, tourism at its best. More on the show when we come back. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. Don't go away.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is Citi 97.3.
1xBet. Easy betting, easy winning. 1xBet, reliable bookmaker that offers you a huge range of bonuses, great odds, and many chances to win. Register now on 1xBet.com.gh and use promo code PLAY1 to get 300% bonus up to 3,445 Ghana cedis on your first deposit. 1xBet gives you more. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Something they go around town. People who they go downtown. Some people they stand around. You wanna no go downtown. Them say the chief, he dey sleep with the thief wife. I boogie for corner, he dey sleep with the chief wife. The neighbor daughter carry belly for the thief child. Something in there go around town. People who they go downtown. The world is spinning round, round. The world is going downtown. Anyway, anyhow, now. Chop your own and clean mouth now. We print and loot and share around. Them say the priest, he dey pray for the thief. Sadaka for Allah, blood for the spirits. People who know better, them they wait on the Lord fire. Something there around town.
All right, we have two quick stories to deal with before we come to our next interview. Finally, the story about Chinese people involved in Galamsey again, and this time it's in the Western region, and Elvis Darko and his team put a very wonderful story together this morning on the front page. Now, this story should be read in concert with the Galamsey issue in Axim, where the police had an encounter with some people who are, I don't know, are they security men? What were those guys in that video, Godfred? What are those people?
You know, I think there's a lot that needs to be uncovered from this, you know. So it becomes difficult to assign tags to the group apart from maybe the police.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Okay, so what is in the video first and foremost?
So what is basically parts of the video that have been made public, because it does look like there are other portions, but this was, and it's interesting also because there's a timeline to follow on this. Now, the video emerged on the 1st of April this year. But this matter started on the 9th of March, 2023, according to the police, if we are to believe their report on this. So, according to the police chronology of this, they were investigating a report made by the Axim Divisional Police Patrol Team on the 9th of March, 2023. Now, on 28th March, they made arrests. They arrested Kujo, 4 men, which is what we saw. Now, while the investigation was going on, the video emerged. That is the timeline of the police that they have given us. We can choose to believe it or not. You know, so that is their timeline. Now, with regards to what the video shows, it shows a group of young men and a group of officers engaged in some level of disagreement that leads to a policeman basically begging for his life.
These are armed men?
Yes.
They stop a police vehicle?
Yes.
And they engage the police in a conversation?
Yes.
Which leads to the police now begging them?
Yeah, because there were attempts to seize the rifle
of a policeman.
And
they did appear as though the police knew these people.
They knew these people. They knew each other. It was obvious.
But this other group are not police?
Yes, they are not. We cannot tag them as, and the police has not accepted responsibility for them. Now, post that, one of the persons who had been declared wanted by the police, one Kwame Ato Asareni, granted an interview to some media outlets, I think 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, to share what he says is his side of the story. And that, according to his side of the story, he's been a police informant for a very long time. They've been going on operations. Basically, he is a civilian collector of bribes.
He admits this?
Yes, he admits. That's what he described himself.
And he collects money.
Yes, and what led to the breakdown in their relationship was basically the fact that he realized he was collecting large sums of money and they were giving him from illegal miners.
So he collects money from illegal miners?
Yes, on behalf of the policemen who are part of
is there an illegal mining tax? Is there a police unit of GRA? Is there a unit of GRA that the police manage?
We don't know.
That's is not.
The guy admits in an interview. This guy who's seen the video accosting the police admits in an interview that he collects monies and shares with the police.
No, he collects money for the police, and they give him a cut.
Why does the police have a revenue stream that we don't know?
Well, the police will have to answer that
Did
question.
they address that in their press statement?
Well, on point 6 of their press statement, they said the allegation of extortion against officers has been referred to the Police Professional Standards Bureau for investigation.
You can't stop it. You go on.
So, Pips. It's now PPSB. So they are investigating that matter. It's a pretty complicated story. That I think will become even more complicated once this Kwame Ato Asareni is apprehended by the police.
So they haven't arrested him yet?
Not yet, but he has put out his side of the story before the arrest.
Oh, Lord.
And it's in the public domain. So
and it's an interview that's accessible.
That's very accessible. So
how long did he speak for?
I didn't check the time.
Speaking English?
No.
Spoke Twi?
Yes. So he has described what he does with the police. Now, there are bigger issues in the mining space. Now, for me, if you put together all the stories that we've seen today, so there was one on the town that Sky spoke about.
Yes, so the town is called Brahabebome. Some young people in Brahabebome, Takwa, endangered their lives by mining in sealed off and disused mine shafts, which has been closed for 60 years. What's even worrying is that the young people are working for a Chinese galamsey contractor who has engaged their services for a fee at the peril of their lives. The Mantrain old shaft.
It's okay. We don't have too much time, but there's that one. We've had a couple of other issues.
Shooting of a guy in Takwa who they claim is a galamsey kingpin.
You put everything together and it tells you we are not making much progress in this fight against illegal mining. And that there's a lot to investigate. And for the general public, most of them will look at it and say, well, we've told you that obviously there seems to be some level of collusion between parties to make sure that this doesn't go away. We put on a show because the thing, bottom line is there's just too much money at stake. If somebody can go and collect 100,000 Ghana cedis from illegal miners
and go and give to the police
allegedly, and his cut is 2,000, he's like, today this boat they've been cheating me, so today I won't give it to you. And then it becomes
he admits this.
Yeah, he admitted to this openly. So it's something that we need to keep an eye on. It's pretty worrying, and I'm just saying we need to keep an eye on this also because if you go to Prestia, for instance, the galamseyers there this week, a group of small-scale miners in the area have served notice that they are going to stage what they term a deadly and relentless demonstration to demand access to mining lands.
And this is just 3 weeks after some of them went to a mining company to burn.
We've seen the Benso incident. So all I'm saying is it looks like there's a lot happening in that space and it's getting a lot more violent. the clashes are increasing. It's something that our security services need to watch.
All right, so time check is 18 minutes past 9. We'll come back to these subjects and your comments shortly, but we need to speak quickly now to the, is it Director General or the Chief Executive? I'm not sure. So we'll be speaking to him shortly on a number of things. All right, so in the studio this morning, we'll be speaking to Sami Oku very shortly. Just a couple of quick backgrounds to this. Nathan, a number of newspapers have been writing about the NLA today, which I thought was pretty interesting. So the NLA say they will generate 31 million cedis royalties from Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire this year from the use of Ghana's Lotto platform for the drawing of raffles in the two countries. Now, I didn't know this. So apparently, Nigeria has been using Ghana's Lotto draw numbers for free for over 25 years and will, after engagement with the management of the NLA, pay 80 million cedis. While Cote d'Ivoire will pay 30 million to the authority. So it looks like Ghana is classified to Nigeria, not just football, but also Lotto. So the amount... So basically, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire have been using our platform for Lotto, and they have not been paying. So we are told that they will pay through KGL, a digital Lotto marketing company, which operates Lotto on behalf of the NLA, as the two countries will draw Ghana's games online. Now, DG of NLA, Sami Oku, disclosed yesterday when he took his turn at the Ministers Meet the Press. He was organized the Minister of Information for state agencies to interact with the public. So for us in the media, it's like Sami Oku has gone to NLA. NLA didn't even make news because Sami Oku has gone there. No, Charlie, today all the papers, Charlie, newspapers that don't even talk about Lotto. They are talking about Lotto. It's even on the front page. I mean, go for a look at it. NLA Lotto. You know,
because Sami Oku is a friend of Bernard.
No, you know the funny thing.
Charlie, the whole of last week, Sami Oku was on the front page.
I don't even understand. There are some.
I don't know what happened. Sorry, on the front page.
There are some subjects that shouldn't even be discussed in front page, but you put Lotto on the front page.
Charlie, because of the revenue bit.
So how important is NLA to government revenue? We didn't know it was such a big institution in terms of the revenue portfolio of the country. We did it.
Bernard, good morning. Good morning to your cherished listeners. And, great to be back here.
Yes.
That's the Theatre of Dreams. City. With all the squad here. It's always refreshing to be with you guys.
Wonderful.
Well, first of all, the NLA, per the Act 722, established by the people of Ghana and the Ghanaian government in 2006 to operate National Lotto, to regulate, to supervise, conduct, and manage National Lotto and provide for related matters. But our core mandate is also to raise revenue. If you scan across the world, the World Lottery Association projects that the member bodies raise a total of $92 billion to support good causes across the world.
Globally.
And then again, we continue to contribute in diverse ways. The entire Olympic Games, hosted by the United Kingdom some time past, 2012, was funded 100% through the process of lottery.
Really?
Yes, and that's a Camelot.
Okay.
In 2022 alone, Camelot, 2021, Camelot raised a total of £9 billion for the UK government. Even with that, they lost their bid for renewal.
Wow.
Somebody could bid higher.
Wow.
The Great Wall of China, the city of Miami, and all that were built purely from the process of lottery. So over the world, over the years and across the world, people have used it to develop. And the interesting aspect is that here in Ghana, when NLA was established in 1962 by the Maltese government. This was after a visit by then Finance Minister Gbedema and a team. It was on a trade mission. Whilst there, they realized that the people were conducting a scheme that was raising revenue for the Maltese government.
Mhm.
Asajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah then asked the Maltese government to assist Ghana in establishing it. They then sent a Maltese official named William Francis Brennan. So when you hear Brennan Hall was named after the first Director General of the NLA, who was a Maltese. And the Maltese government funded his stay in Ghana with the taxpayers' money from Malta. His conditions of service, his entitlement was purely funded by the Maltese people. And his task was to set up the Department of National Lotteries, which has metamorphosed into the National Lottery Authority. Since then, we've gone through various phases. NLA has seen its real good days, and just as in the course of life and history, you always go through some down moments, up moment. That notwithstanding, it's been an authority that has been a vehicle of mobilizing revenue for the state.
So can we say your focus now is still the revenue? Because you said that based on the law, the other things you do, you organize games
based
and
on
things.
the law, and then the Act as well, Section 2.3 of the National Lotto Act 206 also stipulates that as part of our operations, we need to conduct a national lotto specifically to provide care and protection for the physically or mentally afflicted, the needy, the aged, orphans, and destitute children. And then that feeds into the Good Causes Foundation. So it is not surprising that you see the NLA collaborating with Citi FM in the month of March for the Heritage Caravan, which basically showcases Ghana, the food, the music, the culture of the people, and also touring some sites that many people didn't even know existed. When the NLA hosted the African Lottery Association Seminar on Responsible Gaming in December last year, which tied in with the NLA at 60 Grand Eba in December. We brought global leaders, and for the first time, the president of the World Lottery Association, Madame Rebecca Paul, also visited Sub-Sahara, together with the General Secretary of the World Lottery Body, Madame Lynn Reuter, who is Canadian, together with officials from the European Lottery, the World Lottery, and the African Lottery leadership. You know, we had over 100 guests. We took the opportunity to also showcase Ghana. We visited these World Heritage sites of the Cape Coast Castle, the Mina Castle, unwinding in parts of Accra and elsewhere. So basically, what Citi FM was doing in the month of March, we share the same view, because under our Good Causes Foundation, we have 4 main pillars of arts and culture, education, youth and sports development, health. So
it looks like the law tells you where you should spend the proceeds.
Exactly.
It's not as if you pay the money to consolidated fund.
We do.
But then there's also, so you have to put some to consolidated.
So basically, the profit that NLA is supposed to take as profit, basically, at the end of the day, after paying what we're supposed to pay into the consolidated fund, we need to also support government vision and goals. For instance, last year, we supported the Youth Start program with 10 million cedis. The NLA is doing same this year. Then again, the NLA has also partnered government and other agencies with the sole aim of also providing care, supporting the afflicted, the orphans, the destitute, and all that.
So it's almost like the surplus after you pay what you are enjoying to do is what you use for the good causes.
Yes, but the good causes as well. We also link it to our Caritas platform. The Caritas platform is basically a Latin word that's care, charity, love. So that is our interface with corporate Ghana. So when you hear or when you watch adverts and they say this is regulated by the National Lottery Authority
through the Caritas platform,
that's the meaning.
So when a bank is doing like a draw, they are
rewarding their customers.
So this platform is certified by you.
Yes. If the NLA
and do they pay for it?
Yes, they do.
So it's one of the ways you raise revenue in addition to the
states. That's why it states that as part of our operation, we need to conduct a special lottery.
All right.
With the sole aim of raising revenue to support the mentally and the physically afflicted, that. So whatever we get from the Caritas, NLA is not supposed to take a dime, but push it into good causes.
So there are many revenue streams, of which Caritas is one. I see. But your main will be the games.
The games.
So when you say games, what do you mean?
The most popular game in the Sub-Sahara is the 5 of 90. That's the 5 balls drawn out of 90, which has been Ghana's game since 1962. in which we have operated for over 60 years. In fact, Ghana taught Nigeria lottery. Ghana taught Ivory Coast lottery and across.
Wow.
So when the Ghanaians were migrating from Accra or wherever to Abidjan, they took our lotto. So if you get to Abidjan or Ivory Coast, they call it Lotto Ghanaian.
Oh, you mean the main lotto stickers in the system? Ghana. You've exported lotto stickers from your place too.
And then if you go to Nigeria, they call it Ghana Lotto.
Serious?
And the Nigerians have played our game for over 26 years.
When you say they play our game, i.e., even though they live in Nigeria,
they watch the draw.
And they participate.
And they use the winning numbers to pay the wins there.
Also, but that's a different group doing the payment, not you guys.
Not us.
Okay.
So they pirate the number in simple terms. And that is what's happening, within the West African coast. Because of the draw integrity process of the Ghanaian game, the board and the NLA Act also stipulates the composition of the draw team. The Director General is supposed to chair the draw panel. Then you have a rep from the Chief Justice or the Judiciary. So every draw is certified by the Judiciary and that of the Ministry of Finance. So you will have a rep from the Ministry of Finance, a judge, and the Director General or his representative.
So this is a serious scrutiny.
That has been it. And so they have to also take all the boxes, make sure that we are not running even on electricity.
So that when the light goes off, the thing will be affected. So you need generator.
So you need to also ensure that there are no mobile phones in the hall. You need to ensure that blah, blah. So they take all the boxes and make sure that the balls also weigh within a certain range. Because gravity, when one is heavy, it can also drop. So the Ghana Standards Authority periodically also
come and weigh your balls.
Also weigh the balls to also set.
So this integrity is what has led.
What you see on TV is just a subset of the entire drop.
So you're saying that the people who stake, they trust that the numbers are genuine and the thing cannot be rigged.
Even with that, people still have that misconception that there are some hidden numbers that maybe the officials or the Director General gets to see. So you get some of these, but that's even with the transparency of the process.
So let me just ask you. So when I drive in Accra and I see somebody who has written on this kiosk, Abin Soko, see me. What is it? What is it? Right? Abin Soko, see me. No. What is he saying?
The interesting aspect is that for us, it's a game of chance.
Okay.
But for some of these people, it's a game of skill.
Okay.
And also with digitalization, it's not just the channels of operation and the medium of playing. It's both in the kiosk and on the point of sale terminals and also on the mobile phone. So from the comfort of your homes, you can also play. And you also have our traditional players who are also still used to walking to their trusted retailer that have these numbers in mind.
So these numbers that he said Abino, he has worked them.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. For them, it's a game of skill, but for us, it's a game of chance. And you cannot also fault them for dreaming and believing that these are the numbers that they think.
Because it serves your interest because they are the people who are your foot soldiers. They retail them, make it popular.
We do not
by giving the taxi drivers hope.
No, we do not sell directly to the public.
Okay.
We deal with our local marketing companies, and down the stream they also have their writers and retailers.
I get it. So the 590 is the most popular game.
It's the most popular, and it's played every day of the week.
But when I was young, Sunday, they used to announce the lotto numbers on GBC.
Yes.
At 5:59 or something.
Yeah.
With the song.
Now we change them. WWE.
Yeah. So
it's the lotto doctor now.
Yes. Why have you changed that thing?
Oh, which one have we changed?
It used to be on GBC. On TV. The TV. David Donta will come and say one.
Well, we've had a good engagement with GTV in the past. We also gave another opportunity to a TV station.
Okay, so it's happening. What time does it happen?
It's live on UTV every evening.
At what time?
7:15.
They still count 1.
So that is an interesting one. You know, that draw machine that you see there is 26 years old.
Wow.
Yes, making it the oldest draw machine currently being used across the world.
So the same machine that David Donta used to count is still the same machine.
But now the World Lottery Association has tasked the NLA to change its machines to conform with the new standards. So the NLA by the end of this month we'll be saying goodbye to this old godmother machine.
We have to send to the National Museum.
So we are renovating a museum to keep the first appointment letter of Bernard, our first Director General, which the Maltese government handed over to us in November. And also the very act that the Maltese House of Representatives passed in Malta to set up the Department of National Lotteries.
Very interesting.
Brought us all these.
All right, a few points. So we are talking with Samir Oku, he's the DG of the NLA, and they've been doing a lot of things. Yesterday, they spent their time at the Minister of Information Meet the Press, where he revealed that they are going to collect money from the Nigerians and Ivorians because they've been using our system for years and not been paying. So you've actually... So have you written to them? Have you met them?
So when I became DG, together with a team of management members, we pursued the Nigerians and the Ivorians that this game that we've developed, they seem to be beneficiaries of it. And after back and forth, in fact, my predecessor started the engagement. Some way, somehow, they didn't conclude. So we kept pressing on. There were some few issues the Nigerians raised, lack of mistrust, and the mode, the format, and how they can also be supporting. After several engagements and with tact and diplomacy, with the support of our ministry and the board of the NLA, we got the Nigerian government to also come to terms with reality. And as part of the deal, we were also to assist them to develop a national game.
Okay.
So last year, sometime July, I think the 12th of July, I was there to launch their own game for them.
Oh, you launched Nigeria's own game
for them.
Wow.
At a ceremony in Abuja for them. So now they have one. But the problem is they've been used to the Ghanaian one. And the Nigerian situation is one of trust.
They trust the Ghana system more.
People.
They don't trust
their own players. Don't really trust the process.
They know themselves.
So, because sometimes they say that the numbers are announced at dawn. You don't know how the numbers, but for the Ghanaian one, they're able to see it on
same
TV.
time.
And the Nigerians also said that since we cannot bring our point of sale terminals there, they will only be willing to collaborate with us through our online partner. So both countries inspected the IT infrastructure of the online partner. And then the Nigerians also got a partner to also partner the online partner here.
Which means within a sub-region, we are the most advanced lotto market. Because of what the Maltese did and the fact that NLA is older than...
if you're talking about history, yes. But now people have moved on. For instance, the Ivorians make $1.7 million a day through lottery.
And how much do we get?
NLA is around $60,000-$70,000 a day, even though we thought.
Far behind.
The Nigerians make about $3.2 million a day.
And we don't even make 100,000.
So that's why I'm aggressive in trying to also raise revenue.
So based on what your plan, do you have a target, say by end of year?
I do. So when with the Nigerian one, if I can conclude, we're able to finally secure the deal with them, and we task the KJO to collect our proceeds. Since the Nigerians have come to the table after all the negotiations, they had to pay 18 million cedis to us for the first year, for it to be reviewed from next year. And then to the Ivorians, they are also in a position to also pay us royalties to the NLA, 13 million cedis for the year. This will also be reviewed next year. When we came in, our online partner, KGL, is paying NLA 25 million cedis a year as our online partner. I'm happy to inform you that together with the board and management, we've renegotiated a deal for the KGL to be paying 65 million cedis this year. And then if you add that of the proceeds of Nigeria and Ivory Coast, they are paying the NLA 92 million cedis this year.
Okay, let me backtrack. So you've said a lot about what you're doing. I just wanted to first check. The first question I should have asked was, when you accepted the position of NLA CEO, what did you think you were getting into? Because I'm not sure you were into Lotto that much.
No, I don't play. And then again, the NLA management and staff are not expected to participate in the games. Why? Because
conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. Even though you may not know the numbers, if anybody sees you playing, they would think these are going to be the winning numbers for today. But my first day working into the premises of the NLA, I was clear in my mind I wasn't there for the politics, but I was there to raise revenue. And my very first statement to them that I'm here to make new friends. And I want you to partner me to raise revenue. And it's a place that can be toxic in terms of the political dynamics there. You are judged based not on the content of what you do, but judged based under which regime you were employed. So you also had...
It's been a politicized place.
Yes. You also had low staff morale and the mistrust between management and the staff. So it was a very tough journey. But I think the opening statement of my early days gave a clear direction of what I wanted to do. And I was very clear to them at my first staff debate that I don't want to pretend I'm neutral when it comes to the politics of our country. I've been a party's deputy communications director. I've been youth leader of a party. I've been national organizer of a party. However, for the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I'm here to talk revenue. If after 5 p.m. you want to carry the biggest umbrella to the NDC headquarters, you are good to go. Or you want to carry the biggest elephant, I will direct you where we need to meet at Asylum Down. So the honesty and the transparency from day one. And I also told them, all those sitting on the flanks, that they said you were NDC or CPP, PNC or DES, or you feel sidelined, and give you an opportunity to work. But then you need to deliver. And then again, for my folks who are the MPP guys in there, I told them that enormous responsibility will be on your shoulders because you have your government to make it proud. So, and I've been very open.
And how has it been? How long have you been there?
18 months, but it's been an interesting journey. And I also set out to also rebuild the image of the NLA and put it on the global map again. The NLA had been kicked out of the African Lottery Body for non-payment of dues and not conforming to standards and ethics and all that. But in February 2022, we were readmitted into the after several visits to the LONASI, that's the Ivorian Lottery Body. Why? Because the Ivorian Lottery head is the head of the African Lottery Association. So we leverage on the relationship and they readmitted us. In fact, one of our best DGs, Colonel BP, he's still alive. And again, the NLA, we've had many military men becoming DGs than civilians. So up to date, we still have military presence on premises because we also run the VAG game, that's the Veterans Administration Ghana. And Colonel BP had been ALA president before, head of the Continental Lottery Body. So after getting NLA readmitted in, we also needed to repair that gap between the NLA and the World Lottery Association. So we worked hard at it, and in Vancouver last year, we got the World Lottery leadership to also accept an invitation from the NLA.
Which is why you hosted
the ALA seminar in the NLA at 60. So it was great. Having over 100 guests from 20 countries across the world, for me, was a good one.
So in terms of the government agencies, usually we do this state ownership report. Ministry of Finance calls a lot of them. Many of them are not making profit. If you take the NLA,
we also still...
You are not yet making a profit.
Yeah, but at least we stabilized, which is key. And also the blocking the revenue leakages was continues to be one of the... Is
there leakage through the agents or through the... How does
I think it's a mafia, both internal and external. Currently, we have a staff in custody who had been assisting people in liquidating wins. And this staff normally mischievously, every day is an expiry date for a ticket. So sometime last year, I realized an unusual trend where going through a very voluminous document and list, you could see that you can have Akoto, but the ID, 123 Ghana card, and the name Akoto will be there, and the telephone number will be there. Then the same telephone number, the same Ghana card, let's say number 123, but it will be Bernard. Then you have the same number, the same Ghana card number, and then you have Richard. I thought this was unusual. So we sought the help of the National Signals Bureau. And To be very honest,
undercover investigation.
They had to spend 3 weeks in some remote parts of the country before they were able to apprehend.
So it's a whole syndicate.
It's a syndicate, just internal and external. That's what I'm saying. It's a mafia.
So when you say they liquidate wins, I mean they illegally make payments available to people who are not deserving.
Yes, exactly. So in the conduct of lottery, let's say 1,000 people play today, and 200 win. There's no way that all these 200 people will be able to liquidate their wins, because when a ticket is soiled, it will be rejected. When it is torn, it will be rejected. Some will misplace their ticket. Some will even pass on to glory.
So they will not be able to all, but for some reason somebody is able to liquidate.
It's a system where every day
all the wins are being liquidated.
Dies, no ticket gets swelled. No ticket gets
100% efficiency.
So I felt that this was unusual.
Yes.
When I complained to the World Lottery Body and the African Lottery Body, they asked me to dig deeper. And so in trying to prove further, I saw the assistance of the spy agents and the spy agency, and they've been helpful. And so the docket has been sent to the AG for advice.
But in terms of your own political trajectory, managing an institution, how many people are there now?
About 590.
It's a large company.
It is, and
and it's national.
Yes, it's presence in about 15 markets and 10 regions.
So when you have a Stab Deba annual year, it's a huge event. If you have to,
because those outside will join us via Zoom, but even those are the headquarters are around 300.
Okay.
So just a simple question, if I can just help with that. Which is Lotto really popular in Ghana now, like it used to be, and which region leads the party?
Greater Accra obviously leads, followed by Eastern, then Ashanti, then Western.
Oh, I thought the Volta region did well in Lotto.
No, it's because he traveled there last week and saw some Lotto kiosks.
So let me ask my question.
You also do have lots of illegals. Last year alone, the World Lottery Body estimates that the member bodies lost a total of $1.3 trillion through illegal operators.
Hey.
Operating without the regulator.
Without the regulator. And in Ghana, you have an estimate of about 500 illegal operators.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait, so an illegal operator so set up a Lotto system.
Somebody who has not been licensed set up a system in these are small communities.
And he's selling Lotto tickets.
They pirate the NLS number. And then they write in the books. So they do not use the point of sale terminals. And the unfortunate thing
how are they able to pay the people though?
So that's what I'm saying. So today because you won't always win. So Godfred will play, you will play, I will play, Richard will play. That's some amount in the pot. And then if maybe one gets to win, they can pay off.
Because they've collected a lot of post money.
Exactly.
So they are running their own private Lotto scheme.
That's the whole point.
But use your numbers.
And then when there's a big win, they close down and they leave the area. So and we keep advising the public that stop dealing with these illegals, because for them, the day that you have a big win...
But how will the public know who's legal and who's illegal?
Well, we keep educating them. We keep conducting swoop. But sometimes we are naturally born stubborn.
But don't you have a list of... Isn't there a place you can go where I can see...
We publish them. In fact, what we're trying to do is to get stickers for our retailers.
So they have an official designated Lotto sticker.
We also have a strategy to improve upon our draw situation with multiple draws. One thing I do know is for many of these illegals, multiple draws can also heavily affect them. Why? Because with the manual system, they have 24 hours to collect all these papers across to go and do their account. But if I have a draw in the morning, a draw in the afternoon,
you confuse them.
A draw in the evening.
I see.
So that's what we're trying to do from the month of May.
Point of question: did you say Ghana makes $700,000 to $800,000, or $70,000 to $80,000?
A day. I'm talking a day.
So
60 to 70.
A day.
A day.
So it's 60 to 70.
60 to 70.
A day.
And the Nigerians make $3.2 million a day.
Yes.
And the Ivorians make
$1.7 million a day. But the Ivorians learned the lottery from us. They actually started this 5 of 90 in 2012. And again, let me also pay glowing tribute to them. They gave the NLA when I came and I approached them on this good causes thing. Because when I visited Abidjan and they took me to Yamoussoukro, to Boaké, and many parts of the country, almost every community, you could see something funded
by the lottery.
So that was where I also got the inspiration of the good causes. Then made a case to the board for us to establish it. And they provided us with the seed money of $60,000 to set up the
I think one question people want to ask is, so being a party leader, communications, deputy communications, youth organizer, national organizer, is a leadership role. But coming to a state organization over 60 years old, with people who are older than your father there, and then in 18 months...
Some of them were, when I was in Pampers, they were there.
Good. And you are trying to reform it.
Yeah.
How different is that experience in leadership from mobilizing people to support a political party?
I think this one also takes a whole new dimension. Why? Because if you take a straight political sense there, you will make a mistake. You're managing people from different arena. And the focus and the vision should be clear. You should distinguish between what you want to do politically and what you want to do economically. And I also believe that leadership too is everything. And by the depth of what you are espousing and the clarity of thought, you don't have to rub it in the face that you are their boss. They already know you are their boss. But once you need the support from them, without the management giving you the support and you carrying the staff along, you'll just be wasting your time.
A few questions have come for you.
So I set out to, first of mine, the first thing I sought to do was to get management to rally around me, because they are going to help you lead the implementation of policies. And then also to get the staff to also change the attitude. When I got there, I realized that they used to come to work late. Some around 9:30, some even come at 10. They will sit idle. By midday, they go for lunch, they don't come back. So I decided to get to work at 6:30 every day. And
so when they come, you are sitting there?
I'm there. And at 8 a.m., I start visiting them in the office.
Check where they are.
And then when I come
somebody's going to buy beans.
Bernard's office, and where is Bernard? He says he's going. I said, no problem. When he comes, tell him DG wants to see him.
Okay.
And sometimes the psychological thing, and nobody really wants. When you come, I ask you to give
are there people who try to say you are young and that I came here before you, so listen to me?
That one, you can insult me in your head. It's allowed.
But it's not in the work.
No, not at all. But gradually, they got used to the fact that DG there, you always come early. You don't know when he will visit your office. But I go in a very friendly note. And so they said, some said that, politicians in the Ombas are 1 week on Beja.
IGG, initial gragra.
Then 1 month passed. The guy continued. 2 months, he continued. 3 months, don't say no. This
guy's your 18 months.
So it's been like that.
The other question
I'm always one of the early birds to get to work.
The other question for you is, again, from a high-profile political position, it is easy to see if you could have been given a higher political appointment, all right? Because we've seen people with lesser rank in parties transition to deputy minister or even full minister. I suspect the NLA, I mean, if you ask anybody in politics what role you want, not many people say they want to be NLA boss. Yes, so it seemed like what is happening at NLA? What's NLA like? It's not like Free Zones Board or something.
It's like when Nana Kumia wanted to go to STC.
Yeah.
What do you really understand?
What is STC?
But I think Akumia was one of the star performers that you guys even said, look, I transformed the place.
Yes.
If you go to a place already made up, you might pass with the wind. But today you said, but since I'm here going to NLA, you have many of the tabloids always following the NLA, even in front of graphic, on the front page of the graphic today and all that. And then government will say, last week he was everywhere. You have to make an impact. And if you are not at the top, you won't be a topic. Definitely. I believe that together with my team, and we've done what we can. And the greatest gratitude goes to the staff and our stakeholders in the industry.
They support you?
They do. The staff, they find in me a sympathetic ally and a trusted companion, which is key. Because I open up. Many of the things that I implemented were things that I was told by junior staff. DG, take a look at this place. DG here. And sometimes I get to the office early. 6:37. You have some of them waiting for me at the car park because they don't want their boss.
They want to give you some filler quickly.
So and it led me to many revelations. which helps shape.
So in terms of your understanding of the Ghanaians' mentality and how they work, it's a completely different experience from leading people as youth organizer or national organizer.
I think so. I think so.
Wow.
Here, you can have organized detractors within the civil service and the public service structure. But at the political party level, we all believe that we have to support.
So everybody's in line.
Yes.
So you don't face the level of opposition you face.
There at the public service level, what the smile on a person's face might contradict the thought of the person. So I always move beyond the veil.
Interesting. I'll read a few questions. I mean, this is an interview that is supposed to focus on some of the things you said yesterday.
Yes.
But I'm taking liberty to read some questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Tell the NLA to keep their machine in a museum. It was a part of our childhood. So Sam from Aguga says, don't throw that machine away. Hi, Bernard. Just last Friday, I staked 2 sure with 5 cedis and I won 1,200 cedis, which I used to pay part of my school fees. But my Momo account was credited a day after. For a minute, I thought the money would not come. Enoch Morris.
So you see, we introduced the small wins payment, and I think
small wins payment.
I inherited a huge challenge, a backlog of about 15 million cedis worth of unpaid wins.
Hey.
But gradually,
50 million.
1.5.
Okay.
But gradually, we've cleared about half, and we're still being competitive paying.
And is it Momo to pay?
Yeah.
On that, I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So for these. So when you inherited that amount, did you have like corresponding numbers, details to which you could pay?
Yes, every amount you play goes with the win ratio.
Okay.
If you play 5 cedis, that's why the guy said 1,000.
No, I'm just saying. So I'm just saying
cedis, you're going to get 2 4.
So for the 15 million, so which means you had correct details.
Well, legitimate wins.
That's legitimate wins. Yeah, I just wanted to find out.
Accumulation.
Okay.
Of what of his 1,000 to somebody's.
So it's not only Thor that has debts. NLA too has debts.
No, but even ECG. Yeah, that's why Charlie now.
So yours is 15 million, which you've cleared half.
As for just unpaid wins, then you also have other instances of suppliers and all.
Have you paid your light bill?
Yes, we have. When I was on leave actually, I resumed just yesterday, and when my finance director said ECJ people came there, and I said, even their mother ministry, they went to disconnect. What about a revenue generating body? I said, Charlie Paddy, go look for money because I don't want to be in the news.
All right, ask him why. Is it that if you play it on your phone, people gain access to your number and begin to send you unnecessary messages? Does that mean you do not protect our data?
So basically, if you play on your phone, you are playing with an online partner.
Okay.
And they definitely need your data to also help you to continue playing.
They will start sending you messages, baby.
So
that's KGL.
Yes, that's KGL. So it's basically not just. We also do have other collaborators with us who are not playing our 590 game.
Okay.
We have a global fund. We have Zeta Technology.
Okay.
You have LACWeb.
Another one. Bernard, please ask me about Simnet, a subsidiary of the Lottery Authority whose staff are complaining of non-payment of salaries. He should throw more light on the relationship the authority has with Simnet Ghana. This person hasn't added their name.
Well, Simnet is one of our technical service providers. So we play our games on 3 main platforms. Simnet, Lot, and that's of Blue Star High Tech. And I must admit they've had some challenges to partly also contributing to it to is NLA's indebtedness to them and also some few technical challenges. But once they are stake, we continue to engage them. We've been paying in phases. Almost every month we do pay something, but we're looking forward to giving them some good support to also get them right. Same as Lot.
Okay, this question came from Sebastian Simon of Graphic. Another question. This is not a question. This is a statement.
And Simnet too is partly owned by SNET.
Oh, wow. Somebody called Eric says I should tell you that they should send you to Lands Department. They need you there.
Charlie, that plays 2 things. Either witchcraft or juju.
You know, I said this thing on air last week and they were blaming me. So let me ask you, it means that in government there are tough positions where if you go, you know that the place is hard. Like the staff don't want to change, the culture there is difficult.
I think it's also a reflection on what you do as a leader.
Okay.
If I got there and I wanted to be the boss,
okay,
and you get to work 11, Management members will come at 10:30.
And wait for you.
Knowing you get there at 11.
Okay.
But if I get there at 6:30, later 7 a.m., I'm always at work.
Okay.
And I come around to check up on you. Normally 8:30, I go to check on managers. But for staff, 8:15.
Okay.
I walk through the offices, and it helps me to also see some of the petty things that they want done. You can get to an office, the place is warm. What's happening? BG, our AC has been off for this number. Oh, really?
So small things like this.
Take a phone.
So sometimes systems, DG has to come and solve all those. Systems are not in place.
Sometimes it's quite
okay.
worrisome.
I have finished the NLA interview, but I have two personal questions for you. The first one, a lot of people want me to ask you, is about your own political plans. Right? You already spoke about your life in politics, national organizer, and then came into a public position. Are you going to Parliament?
Well, I saw yesterday I was supposed to be at the National Council meeting of the party. I'm a member of the council. Unfortunately, these media engagements did not. But I've seen the party's timetable, which is out.
February.
For February next. But there will open nominations somewhere November or so. I'll have to start deep consultations with stakeholders.
But is it fair to say there's the indication that people want you to do it?
There's huge and considerable level of support from the Kropon constituency, or somebody who's a Kwapem North municipality, from the chiefs and the people there, and that's of my own party supporters. As I said, I have a sitting MP there, so I need to do some consultation, and even that of the MP, I'll have to.
But that's where you are from.
That's where I'm from.
And that's where the pressure is coming from.
Huge pressure.
That you should go to Parliament.
Huge pressure. But I'll once again repeat, once nominations open, I'll start some consultations ahead of November. If that works,
and the other point finally is you are a political operator. Is it possible that as elections draw near, you may be recruited to do more support of the campaign? And therefore, you may have to sacrifice this 18 months because you are fully working at NLA and you seem to be doing well. But there's again, I'm speaking from an MPP perspective now, there could be a bigger challenge of the party saying that they want to win an election. You're a former national youth organizer, former national organizer, former communicator, and that your political skills may be needed more than your managerial skills. I'm sure that pressure is also there.
It is. And it's almost on daily basis. I've had discussions with key leaders in government, very key leaders in government, and key leaders at the party level, that I'll be supporting the party's mobilization drive ahead of elections. You see, every election is a new election, and no two elections are the same. Even when it's a runoff, it's not a top-up election, because they will start the counting from 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the NPP in 2024 must concentrate more on regaining our lost parliamentary seat. There will be a battle at the parliamentary level. You win the parliamentary vote, you win. It goes hand in hand with the presidential. And the NPP will have to also play tact. And I am convinced that will be the NDC true strategy.
I see. Maybe we'll do a different question on politics.
And then again, I also believe one of the things that we have to also help trumpet is the fact that globally governments are going through tough times. And very few governments survived in 2020, if you check. I mean, very few because of the impact of the pandemic and all. That notwithstanding, we also have a role to play as a party and government. So yes, you are right.
You seem very geared up for the election.
And then
because you even change your posture in the interview. You know, when I was asking about NLA, you were sitting down. So when I said politics, then you change.
Because you unsettled me.
No. I finished the NLA interview.
I'm also expected to also. If the vice president who decides to contest, I will support him.
So it means there's pressure from the party, there's pressure from the vice president's side.
Not pressure from him. He hasn't told me.
Okay, not pressure. The likelihood, the possibility.
I'm a big fan of him.
So
and then if my services.
So if he needs you in his campaign, you have to go. If the party needs you in the national campaign, you have to go.
Then I have to have a conversation with my employer. That's the president of the republic. Because I serve on his behalf at the end. If I'll be able to combine, I'll have a discussion with him.
Wow. It means watch this space.
The space is already being watched.
Sami Oku, thank you for joining
the
us.
city is refreshing.
Fantastic. It's a relevant radio all the time. Sami Oku is the DJ of the NLA, and we need to say that they came in here to talk about some of their activities, including the
biggest colony of mafia.
including. Please, listeners, please ignore what he's saying.
You don't have courage. You don't listen to morning show on this platform.
Sami Oku, thank you.
Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you. We appreciate it. They did a Meet the Press yesterday, and then a follow-up interview on the show this morning, covering a number of topics. Hawa Idrisu Mustafa is here with City News at 10. Good morning, Hawa.
Good morning, Bernard. Coming up, an immigration officer stationed at Boko has been